Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Classics race. Are we on number 4? Number 3? Number 3? Number 4? Number 3. Sorry, I'm doing the anyways. Yes, number 3, Crit City Slam, everybody, and we are out on the Downtown Dolphin. This is absolutely awesome race. I am super excited about this because personally, this is one of my favorite courses because there is a lot of opportunity that people don't necessarily always know about. So we also got a pretty good contingent of riders here, and we are in the C3s across all of Europe today for the Eastern, Central, and Western. Dave, excited for the race today, and lots going on in the cycling world too.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, again, a great field, Nathan. I was just taking a look. We got some cool riders to talk about today. I love this format of racing, and I want to give you a shout out. You did a great job of breaking down this course on World of Zwift. I really enjoyed that. And you are the mayor of Crit City in my world, that's for sure. This course to me is a little surprising. It gives our racers a lot to work with. And if you're into, if you love esports and love racing on Zwift, this is a lot of fun. And when you've got a quality field like we have today, you're right, Nathan, I am G'd up.
Yeah, we are going to have a good race with this field. They are out on course. They're getting into their first lap. They are going to have sprints, though, I believe it is 3 laps out there today, so be on the watch out for that. It is 38.1 kilometers for the A's. Be a little bit shorter out there as we're doing 16 and 14 laps for the C3s out there today. And so Downtown Dolphin, 160 meters climbing, as you can see, 524 feet. It is short, and there is a little bit of a punch in there, but you do see, I want to talk about that little grind, that little uphill grind right by the finish start on the opposite side of there. That's by the esports stage, and that is, in my opinion, the second most crucial and maybe the most crucial if you know what you're doing with it. You know, a lot of people, they can set up and you can do just about anything for 10 seconds, on the bike to hang on with the pack. What you can't do a lot of times is have some continuance over that little 2% gradient, get caught off guard. There's a downhill that's 2% downhill, and then you go right into the KOM. If there's a split happening at that section, you watch a lot of Kurt racing, Dave. I think you have an idea of what that's all about. And the reality of coming out of corner after corner, not necessarily one corner and a climb, is usually what breaks things apart.
Absolutely. Criterium racing is a decidedly, let's just put it this way. In America, it's the real last form of road racing standing right now, as far as you don't see many time trials, and you certainly don't see many point-to-point road races, but you still see a lot of criteriums here. I realize cycling, obviously a global sport, but this is a specialty for a lot of riders here, Nathan. And as you said, typically you don't have as much to work with on a course as you do here. So the strong riders are certainly going to try to make some splits happen out here. And there's a rider to watch today, Greg Abbott of the Next team. I'm certainly putting a pin next to that name today, as Next has been one of the phenomenal esports squads that we have had out there. They and Velocio have made things a lot of fun, but let's pick up the front group out here. Again, these laps, we'll burn them in very, very quickly as you'll get familiar with this course out here. But again, that's your peloton. You can see, Nathan, already a few riders at the back, that the whiplash effect that you have, or the accordion effect actually might be more appropriate, at the back of the group. You're going to continually be sprinting out of these air quote corners.
Yeah, and you can actually see in the upper right-hand corner in the little mini-map, this will give us an idea of where riders are out on course, if there are splits happening. A little bit more useful on a small course like this, as you can see the little red dots give us a very good idea of where any packs are and how they're chasing. We already do have a pack off the back here in and amongst this C3 group right now. They are into their second lap, and they starting in on their, let's take a look here, 18 seconds back actually for Armstrong. It looks like EM, as well as Italian rider Gian Felice and Gibbs and Mendez now on the chase. So it looks like already a few off the back. I believe I looked through and we may have Mr. Seb from Beast Mode in this crowd here. I'm not absolutely positive. Look at all of these power-ups. Nobody really wanting. I mean, what is going? This is insane. Like, what? I mean, they're using arrow, but I guess with how many opportunities you have out here, Dave, there's a reality that you're just going to get a ton of power ups. So why not use them? You roll the dice, it's 1 of 3, right?
Absolutely. And if you're not completely happy, it's almost like playing 5-card draw in poker, right? Where you give the cards back that you don't want and get fresh ones and hope you get something better. I think that's exactly what's going on out here. This is a really good course. You see the roller coaster effect that we've got going on right now. And Nathan, they're doing some damage out here. But I agree. It's fun to see Seb out here racing. The South African duo of Jacques Greff and Snowy Pruitt also will be riders to watch. And I see the American Matt Wheeler of the Restart team has inscripted for this race. So we've got a lot of riders to look at, but this is going to be Seldrick here making a move for the WLC team. And it looks like a few riders are going to try to jump up and go over the top of that with an arrow power-up being played there by Davis. Early going here. Again, let's use about 39K of racing. But those sprints for points every 3 laps, Nathan, that's going to really help tell the story here.
It is. It definitely is. Because anything, and the other thing about that, again, is going to be the reality of counterattack after counterattack. Now, Scotty P is doing exactly what we were talking about here, and it's great to see Scotty out here. 693 watts, good little jump over the top, 700 watts now, as you can see. And this right here through this section gets a gap, carries that onto the downhill, negative 3% grade. Look at this, 52 kilometers per hour. This is what I was talking about. The pack are traveling at 47. You can get a huge amount of speed out of these corners and through these sections. Scotty P now on the full gas attack. And now if he has continuance over the top here, anyone comes across with a big orange number jump, you do have a breakaway gap at that point. Does use, look at that. He's got the steamroller. Oh, man. And now we are on the cobbled section. Perfect use. And 4 seconds, 5.4. He needs a little bit more, though. 6 or so. Maybe he's trying to get a couple to come across here, but good effort. That's exactly the tactic we were talking about.
Very well played with the power up there. The steamroller, one that you don't see all that often in the world of esports, but basically it turns cobblestones into smooth as glass pavement. That's probably the best way to put it, Nathan. It makes the roads much easier to get over. Let's see if anybody wants to get up and join the OTR racing rider here, Scotty P. I have a feeling they're going to play their cards pretty close to the vest, Nathan. Nobody wants to burn too many matches at this point. We got a long way to go. And remembering these power surges will really take it out of you. The course, not a tremendous amount of climbing today, but it's the way the racers apply the power that puts the hurt in the legs out here. And Scotty P has certainly taken his big dig at the front.
Leon,
they're going to bring him right
Evo.
back into
Here we go. This is the first sprint point here now, and it's going to be Leon now up and out of the saddle. Perfectly timed. He's got the gap already, but no. Stewart from LGE. Will he come over the top? It looks like it's going to be neck and neck. And, I think Stewart just barely nipped it there. I don't know. Back-end API is going to have to tell us some information, but nice little kick. Now the separation is there, though.
The back-end Dave Toll call is giving it to Barry, Nathan, I think. But again, even if I saw it that way, doesn't mean necessarily that that's exactly what happened. So you're right. We'll circle back with that back-end API. But Nathan, Barry Stewart looking very strong out here today. Another one of the riders out of the United Kingdom here. Warren Gardner, Marco De Benedictus has made it up there as well. Andrew Smith. So real charge from the riders out of the United Kingdom. I see Rick Cox and Ian Goodall, the English riders. So let's see what we've got. That group looks significantly smaller than it did just a couple minutes ago, Nathan.
Yeah, and you can see the struggling to get back on terms here now. 48 kilometers per hour, now 49 coming from these riders. 52, that's what you want to see coming through this section. Really, if I were on the attack, if I were trying to get away, I'd be wanting to see, or trying to close a gap down, I'd be thinking somewhere between 52 to 54 kilometers per hour if you could get it up to that high. Now we do have some steamrollers coming off. That's exactly where you want to use them on the front now. Dirt has a huge contingency, it looks like, in this team. In this race here. And it's going to be IG from Dirt leading things out with the cap on and the glasses, as we do have Coop as well as Electric Spirit Company is out here. Good to see them. Well, I always say company, Electric Spirit.
I do it too, Nathan. I think
it's got the CO on the back. I think it's got the CO on the back. So, I'm going to leave it there. So,
I did want to give a shout out to the Norwegian to watch today, Thomas Ervik he's with the Dirt team here, but Dirty Afternoon Delight there. There's a couple hundred different dirt teams out there. Just tremendous respect for what they're doing. As we take a look here, this is TBR rider Ryan that we're looking
Charlie.
at now.
Charlie Ryan, longtime viewer. Good to see Charlie hanging out. He's always hanging. And Harry Stevenson's actually in chat here, giving him a little bit of a ride on as well. So always good to see Charlie. We'll see how he gives a go. He's got a good sprint on him. If he can hang on, and I think this is the kind of course for a guy with a good sprint.
I don't know if you saw, Nathan, that Anna Russell's, one of Anna's kids, was doing some work with flags in New Zealand. And it makes me realize right away, where is that help when I need it? Pablo Leon, is that Chile, the flag that we're looking at there for the Evolution rider who's been up in the mix today? Actually, I would be scoring Pablo up in the in that last sprint that we had come through.
Looking through, looks like Misfits now toward the front. I'm going to jump in with the women's race here real quick. Not positive on the flag. As soon as I can find out, I'll take a look here. But we do have a split taking place in the women's race. They're 6 kilometers into their race here at this point, and it does look like Marshall Armstrong, lights from PTZ, trying to hang on, but on the attack, it is going to be the DZR rider. Now, Quinn Vinstgard, along with Sarah Hunt and Astrid from the Kirchmer cycling team, giving a little bit of a dig. This looks like it's going to come all back together, and we have initial splits with Sousa off the back. She's invisible hanging out over here. Nobody solo. Now, Max trying to get back on terms. Frankenheim is here as well with Rossing, and it's going to be another rider from Rowan King, KM there. But that's the situation within the women's race. This is the lead group as they come around for their 6.5, almost 7 kilometers up and over the top of their Queen of the Mountain climb here. And a little bit of steamroller here coming in from, is that going to be the rider we're looking at, actually? Circu from Rav CC.
Well, this is, boy, when you take a look now, this sector, you see that steamroller, that makes a big difference there. And timing that right, you can see the steamroller actually, if you start it at the right moment, you can really apply that perfectly through that sector, as we're with Armstrong right now. Again, 39K of racing out here. Don't see the Ghost all that much either. So I'm guessing, Nathan, that they've got the full array of power-ups available to them out here. I think we've seen everything.
So Ghost, Steamroller, and Arrow, I believe, is what we're on out here today. And the Ghost, those. So the reason being they're very good, very well thought out here for that, because with a course with corners the way that they are, out of sight, out of mind kind of a situation, you can find little sections to try and get away with the Ghost power up that you might not be able to use it, because the speeds can go so incredibly high around the corners and these little undulations here. So I think the Ghost power, the idea there is that this is actually a course where it can really matter. The other thing, Steamroller, obviously every single lap you have a cobbled section where a lot of times the attacks go, makes a lot of sense. And then obviously the Arrow power up, super high speeds. Again, you want to make an attack, it's going to be a great power up for that. So everything else, I think, the drafting, anything else that's here, the burrito would be one that you could use to kind of separate things out. But I think with that one, things get so bunched up on this course that it's kind of like, meh, you just have a bunch of burritos next to each other and nobody's getting a draft and over and over and over again. It just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense there. So I think there's a great selection coming from the team there for these power-ups today.
Yeah, thanks to Martin for the information, talking about the fact that the steamroller seems to make a bigger difference over in the park versus the cobble area from some of the research that they were doing here. And I see that they're being distributed Arrow 40%, steamroller 40%, and then Ghost at 20% out here. So thank you for clearing me up on that.
It looks like for the men's race, I believe we're going to have another sprint here in just a moment. And on the front, it looks like, actually on the chase here, this is going to be C. Armstrong and a few others. But this is the front end of the race now. It's going to be Barmore. Aid there from Team SZ. Scotty P on the attack again. 8 watts per kilogram coming from him. Look at the steamrollers over and over again here. Smith to the front. I think Walu Lacole, though, they've been taken over at crucial moments over and over again. And again, they are on the front, pushing the pace a little bit. It's going to be Horsley, I believe.
Things settling down, it looks like, just a little bit now in this front group here. We'll expect another attack as they make their way through the first third of this race. There's very well positioned right now is Pablo.
A
Right
little
in
bit
the
of
sweet spot of that
invisible
group.
there. Visibility coming off the front just a little bit. It looks like that is going to be, again, Scotty P and Leon from Evo. He's got a little bit of a gap. He tried this last time. Not sure it's going to stick, though, as now they come on through Smith
Sprint
there.
points.
Believe
Sprint points must be certainly changing the dynamic right now on the front. Here we go. There's your aero power-ups.
Our 3R now. This is a long-time racer in and amongst the world of esports here. Always is it going to stick around? And it is off the front, coming around the 180-degree turn. Good timing. You watch that timing from Coop. It was absolutely perfect. He kicked with the 3% downhill gradient. He carried speed with his aero power-up, actually, down the hill. Now, I'm not sure that would work in the final sprint the way that he did that, but he definitely timed it perfectly that he got the gap that was needed, came around the corner in first place. You know, if you're not top 3 around that corner, Dave, it's going to be very difficult, or at least amongst that top 3 line, as in esports here, we can kind of overlap each other a little bit more. But, the timing there, if you're 6th wheel,
any further back,
you're done.
8 riders. I would say that there's so many guys that are going to be surging at the same time you are as well. Coming up and over the top of them is going to be extremely hard to do. But that was a nice test run there for Coop as we take. Looks like we're moving over to. That's a lot of letters there and quote marks that I'm not familiar with.
I was wondering. I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize. I was wondering what you were struggling with there, David. And then I looked at the name, and yeah, there's a lot going on there for the ZRG rider. Coming out of Germany, we can say that. Ule Wide, I'm going to say, as they make their way up over the top of this little bit of a climb. Again, Charlie Ryan here hanging on in this spot. Tucker, Scotty P, Evans, ZRG, really with some representation, I think, out here. KC as well. It's going to be the Dirt Misfits looking to try and take over toward the front. Evo, though, now rolling off a little bit, but that's not really always where you want to be. You know, whenever I find myself at the front end of the pack at this moment, I'm actually trying to back off because I know what's about to happen. We're about to go downhill at a very intense downhill grade. Well, not very intense downhill grade, but an undulating gradient that causes the pack to surge its speed over and over again. And you tend to fade backwards very quickly if you're on the front at this section, unless you really work way harder than you need to be doing so. So a little bit of an aero power up here coming from one of the PTZ riders, it looks like, as he comes through. And again, let's take a look here and give you an idea of where to go. Right here, you see that negative 3% gradient? That is where the roll through with the pretty much you're all in on your sprint. At this moment, you're just trying to hold on to your final kick and then get across the line as they come into, what did we see on the left hand side? We do have the lap counter there. 10 to go, 9 to go, 9 to go out here today.
In the bizarre women's Olympic road race, you could see that actually that attack that Annemiek van Vleuten, the Danish or Dutch rider, makes to end up winning the silver medal there was basically the same kind of thing, coming from, kind of lurking in the back half of the pack and waiting for that launch pad. Exactly the same thing out here. What an amazing Olympics it's been. And talk about the effort here now on the front, blowing this race to bits. So this is going to be the women that we're jumping in with now and taking a look at Marshall here on the front. That's Lucy Marshall of the Aeonian team, the Welsh rider, who's taking a couple with her. I'm guessing, is this Carla Williams? No, I apologize. Let me figure out who Carla Williams is in the race, one of the leaders on that Aeonian team. But let's see who we've got with her here now. The American Sarah, and I believe Fran Bambast is the other rider. Team Rave, Nathan, up here in this 3-rider move. This is quite dangerous.
Astra trying to give it a little bit of a go, it looks like, and it does look like Astra's going to be taking down the points on this lap, but I don't think that Aeonian really cares too much about that. I think all they care about now at this point, holding onto the wheel and coming through with some speed, as they do have a gap at this point, but the DZR rider's not trying to let that go over the top. Now it's going to be Hunt trying to go on the chase on the Hunt, as Armstrong as well, though they've got some work cut out for them. 4 seconds, and on a course like this, when I see 4 seconds like that, I get a little bit. If I were in the race, I kind of roll my eyes like, okay, is that really going to do anything? But on a course like this, those minor seconds, they really do matter, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I would have to say, if I'm a sprinter here, I'm not too disappointed at this point in the race to see 3 riders making an effort like this, knowing that the combined effort of that peloton should have a huge advantage to bring them back. So if you're looking to have your competitors burning a couple matches, that's a lot of times one of the plays that you can make is understanding that discretion is the better part of valor when it comes to criterium racing. You don't need to be in every move. And this one's starting to unravel up here.
It is, as we do have a rider going off the front. That is going to be Sarah going off the front from Aeonian. In the race that for Aeonian over on Zip Power, I believe she's not marked as Aeonian on Zwift Power. That's why there's a little bit of struggle there to find her. But riding unattached according to Zwift Power. Definitely a newer rider as well out of the United States. 62 races, it looks like. Has a solid sprint though.
Yeah, look at that. I mean,
Absolutely killer sprint.
11.6 watts per kilo for her 15-second power. That's really impressive.
Yeah,
And certainly
crazy.
by far the highest that you see there in a rider that clearly, just looking at that data point, you wouldn't want anywhere near you for the finishing sprint.
Her kind of race here, it looks like. She started racing back in November actually of 2020. And has been, it looks like, picked up by Ionian, I believe, fairly recently. As I'm not seeing Zwift Racing League, it looks like season 3 is her go here for the Ionian team. It looks like so. Did jump in with the playoffs as well, so was a part of the Ionian team for the playoffs. So good to see as she hammers away on the front here, and they've got a 10-second gap at this point. They've really opened things up. They do have a teammate that's been lapped. Not sure. I mean, what's your opinion on this one, Dave, on this course?
As far as a lapped rider assisting a teammate?
Yeah, and it looks like she's not going to. They're going to let her go.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I would
in a
say
regular crit race, they give you a free lap. But in Zwift, I think it's a little bit different.
Right. Well, yeah, free lap applies when you have a mechanical or involved in a crash and they allow you to rejoin the race on the same lap as the leaders, right? So you're not a lap down. Versus really the situation that becomes extremely sketchy is when you have riders that are looking to lap the field and having a rider drop back out of the group to help them lap the field, right? So you want riders who yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how the rules are written, but I think in the spirit of fair play, the best way to put it would be let a lap rider jump into the group and let them keep racing. They shouldn't be participating in the sprints.
100%. As we do see Leon now. Coop now again timing things well. This time around, he's kind of off the front, but there's a rider off the front there with Sip here from the CC team. So he was timing it okay, but up and out of the saddle, looks like a few other riders going to come over the top. St. Pierre trying to hold on. No, Coop again giving it a go, but it's going to be Evo from Evo over the top. What a kick from the Evo rider. Woo, that was where it was at for Evo. And now they're going to start and give a little bit of a counter as Molina from PTZ, Summers from the Shram CC team, it looks like. Things are really starting to split up here, Dave, and riders maybe trusting a little bit too much that this is going to come back together as we see the ZRG rider now trying to come across with their teammate. IB here, though, as you can see, this is a moment here, Dave, I think, where you cannot just sit and watch this race right away from you.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. That was Manuel Molina that was really pressing the issue here. And we're going to see, this will be interesting to watch if these 5 can chase their way back in. As it looks like it's every man for himself back here in this group right now. This would certainly be panic stations for sure, as this group just gets smaller and smaller out here as they work their way through. We're already through the mid part of this race now. So down to the brass tacks here. Can't afford to make a mistake like that because chasing in is going to be a huge withdrawal at the pain bank. I think they're going to get back in. Boy, this is where hitting that steamroller would make a huge difference. That could even be the difference of getting back into the group here, Nathan.
Yeah, and there's a couple looking to get back on terms. It does look like a few will make it, and a few are going to fade. And that is going to be Bar Moore there out of Israel, not going to be able to do so. Jameson here, the rider out of Ireland, as it rolls away. You got to be on terms by this point here, Dave. As soon as it flattens out, those in the front start pressing the pace. You do not have the draft. They're rolling away at 41 kilometers per hour as he's doing 38. And it looks like there is going to be some lapped riders. We were just talking about this, Dave. Getting caught up here, interesting enough. So with these lapped riders getting caught, that's going to make things really interesting. They're a full lap down.
Yeah, but the one thing that I would say here is you didn't get lapped for a reason, right? Or so there's a reason you did get lapped, I should say. I wouldn't expect them with the speeds that these guys are holding to be able to slot right in and make a difference at the front of this bike race, because these guys are absolutely killing it right now, talking about the front of the race. They have done some real sorting out. I mean, this is very similar to how any criterium around the world would be playing out as well. It's almost too real.
6 to go, Dave. 6 to go. And this is when you start thinking about late attacks. How long can I stay off the front? We're looking at, lap times around that 2 to 2.5 minutes or so, full gas. So with 6 laps to go, you're thinking about, a 12 to 15 minute attack, full on threshold effort. Maybe giving it more of a 3 to 4, perhaps, because that's when people start looking at each other and resting up for the sprint. So with 3 laps to go, maybe 4 laps to go. 2, a lot of times it's going to get chased down pretty quick because people get a little bit nervous about that. But I think in the next couple, we might start seeing some flyers going off the front.
Greg Abbott, Nathan, is absolutely a name to watch. The next rider here, he can throw a 15.8 watts per kilogram up for 15 seconds. There's a couple riders in that neighborhood. Snowy Pruitt, I mentioned the Dirt BC rider out of South Africa, also in that rarefied air. If Abbott is in this group, and I see Snowy right there sitting nicely tucked into the back third of the group, but just conserving energy right now. And I'm looking for Greg Abbott. Again, this next rider not only puts up big numbers, he's a great story. Actually was a beta rider, Nathan, going all the way back to the very, very early days. The first, first 100 folks out Zwifting. And then kind of moved on, did some other things. Pandemic hits, gets access to a smart trainer, comes back, gets in shape. That next team is phenomenal. And here's an interesting moment here where we're going to have that group being caught. Let's see how this all plays out. There's obviously going to be some riders going to be able to stay with this group. But Nathan, we're getting down to it pretty quickly.
Schultz should just continue on. He should have continued on as he came through them if he could have. Because as you go through those riders there, and you can kind of sneak off the front maybe as they all kind of come together. That is a tactic I've used a lot of times where you'll hit some lapped riders and you'll ride through them and they become lawn furniture that you're using. They become obstacles you're using to be in the way.
My concern is given a 5-second gap with 15K to go, I that would not be a situation I'd want to be in.
No, well, I mean, depends on how you want to ride the course. With this many riders, very difficult. If it was a whittled down group a little bit, and the pressure points of the course right through here. So a lot of times this section, you're rolling through, you're going to have about the same speed that you came down with. You just keep it consistent. Now you're seeing 50 kilometers per hour here. You got to. You got to think about where you're going to be at with that speed at every single section, whether or not you can hold more or at least the same speed as the group that's chasing you.
I guess I would put that into the category, Nathan, of just because you can open a gap, should you? Because we do have a long way to go. There's a lot of strong guys. So I would hate to burn a match that I didn't need to burn, knowing that these attacks in the last 2 laps are going to come fast and furious for sure.
100%.
I'm going to play it conservative at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a good call to be a little bit more conservative at this point. Now I think 3 to go, a little bit different situation. We're
Absolutely.
At 5 to go now at this point now, and this.
And you know what? Sometimes you got to cut against the grain. And Nathan, if you're feeling like you're on a very good day, you could catch them looking. You're absolutely right. I mean, I'll backtrack on that a little bit. Sometimes you find an opportunity and you seize the moment, right? And that 100% makes sense. My feeling was that there's enough guys here that got the bit between their teeth that I wouldn't want to. If you spotted me 5 seconds, well, and obviously not me, but if I was an athlete at this level, if you spotted me 5 seconds, I still wouldn't like my chances. is sort of what I'm saying there. Just so many heavy hitters right now who are looking for a sprint here. As we pick up, as we've noted here, we're down to a handful of laps at this point. These guys really start looking at positioning, and there's got to be a few riders, Nathan, that are of that mindset of looking to try to slip away late.
Now, the race here for this course, in my opinion, when it comes to trying to break things apart, you kind of have to be a very, very aggressive rider at very specific times. Essentially, you're finding the exact same places each and every lap to put the pressure on the rest of the pack over and over and over again. So there's kind of like two ways to play this course. It's to sit in and wait and watch for the sprint, or continually put the pressure on at the right sections of the course. Now, people are waiting for these sprints over and over again, and this is part of the reason why we do have things a little bit quieter, except for on these laps. And again, Evo Hick taking it down once again. Coop with his second, it looks like, horse leader coming on through for third for Wahoo Lacole at 58 kilometers per hour. And rolling out the front a little bit here. Evo, solid result here.
Yeah, credit where it's due. Freddie Hick is a wattage cottage out here today. As you can see now, he's going to come back into that group, but that ought to give him some real confidence out there. Alexander Coop, the race 3R rider, also clearly going to be contesting. A lot of folks cheering for Charlie Ryan out here. Throw me in that group as well, as Charlie Ryan slotting himself up in the front here. All right. So, Nathan, these guys really now realize that sitting at the back of the group is going to be a little bit dangerous here, because there's going to be some attacks coming. Look at riders trying to move up through that group. Cox was one of them.
STW Stingers. Whenever I see the name Gardner, I'm thinking Matt Gardner here. But looks like Crow comes just said enough is enough. I'm done. He's just going to hang out here. Maybe he's de-essing. He's
or his internet said it. Yeah.
Spectator giving encouragement to the rest of the riders. As Smith here from Innovation now takes on to the front of the group. Now Hopner as well from ZRG taking over. WLC, we see him making way to the front. KC, Kirchmer Cycling. So, Kirchmer Cycling, Innovation. We see Wahoo Lacole, TBR involved with Charlie Ryan throwing down an arrow there as well. Coop has been involved a lot from the R3R. BZR Eagles, one is out here as well. Watch out for them. That is a well-known name amongst esports. Hasn't been mentioned too much. La Fuega. There was Scotty P. He was on the attack early on. Still there with us, Dave. Dirt as well.
Nathan,
Evo, wow, there's a lot of representation.
Yeah. No kidding. I've been looking, Nathan. I don't think that Greg Abbott is in this group. He must not have taken the start out here today. And that really has me turning my attention then to the dirt rider, Snowy Pruitt, as well. But unless I'm missing something, I haven't seen Abbott's name, or he's doing an incredibly good job of hiding, which is a little harder to do in Zwift than even in real life here as we pick up last few laps of racing now.
Yeah, we're just jumping in with one of the chase groups here back into 37th or so as they're making their way around. They're just thinking about getting to the finish line in a smaller field sprint at this point. Some of the other riders on the chase, they're light from two guys, but back toward the front end of the race, they make their way around. We've got three to go. Summers here from SRAM CC sitting in. So as far as the top end watts per kilogram sprints here, you're saying Snowy is the man to be watching out for, Dave?
Well, 14.4 watts per kilo for that 15-second is, David Bagden, the engine rider, another English rider. Excuse me. Is that flag Hungary? I have to ask myself there. As the Italian colors, but going horizontal, not vertical. I think that is Hungary. There's a few guys that can throw some massive watts up there. But Snowy Pruitt, again, the dirt rider out of South Africa, has been really well positioned. Hasn't missed a step out here so far, Nathan.
Looking through the watch.
Coop as well.
I have to agree with you on some of these.
Alexander Coop is also, we just saw him second in that last preem sprint that we had. Very savvy riders. Been watching him, Nathan. That's someone I expect to be on the final podium too.
Stewart.
Coop the
Kind of
German.
watch out for Stewart there. I'd have to agree with you on that rider. Absolutely. I mean Barry Stewart, 14.5 watts per kilo coming from that rider. Is he still in it amongst the group
That's
though here?
those kind of numbers are, that puts you squarely into that fastest 100 men in the world kind of thing, or something, fastest 1,000 men in the world. Anyways, as we take a look now at a very select group, this is the
Sam
front
Summers
group.
as well. Sam Summers as well has got a crazy kick on him right in there. 980 watts for that 15,
Now,
13.1. That's the SRAM CC rider. So definitely be on the watch
Matt
out for
Wheeler
him.
from Restart, Nathan. I'm not sure how familiar. You must have raced with him quite a few times through the years. Another
I know
rider
Matt Wheeler.
that,
Yep, for sure.
yeah, he'll be looking to get up into the mix here. But I think that holds true for everybody who's made this selection out here. It's been a hard-fought battle to stay in this group with the surges that they've made, but we've got this on lockdown now.
So it is going to
Grid
be
City.
two to go, and it's a pretty. It's going to quiet down here, I think, a little bit amongst the group. We may see one or two try and get away. Those with not quite as much of a kick are going to start thinking about how can I try and set this up to try at this moment. Or I mean, really, it's not even a setup at this point. It's kind of a now or never because you get into the final lap and it's just going to be pretty full gas from the pack trying to find their way to the front. We do have a group that they are catching here. It may be an opportune time to try and sneak off the front. We usually try around pushing 6.1 watts per kilogram. It's not really an attack, though. I think this is just trying to get through without being held up.
Yeah, it's almost like using a Batman using a smoke screen, right? If you could attack through this group, I don't think anybody's going to be able to pull that off. But this is it's a challenging time to be working your way through traffic. That's for sure. This late in the race, you can see that Alexander Coop has got himself well positioned now.
A little bit of invisibility power up. I think that's just using it to try and get rid of it, though, there from, it's going to be A-Ride, the KC rider, I believe, that's using that. Maybe, actually, no, Silky was the rider who was using that there. It looks like his Evo here with Hick. Now a little bit of a surge. And you see the churn? It's amazing to me how much there's churn, just like in real life crit racing. Like, it turns right onto the front there. You find yourself on the front. Suddenly you're back on the back again. Now little kicks are starting here. Bill thundering. And this is when the riders start thinking about position, coming with a lap and a half to go. You find yourself at the back. You do have to work your way to the front again at really inopportune times. You do want to be within that top 10 or so from here on out. M. Benedict's down over the top of the KOM. 182 beats per minute here, Dave.
Wow. But Nathan, I'm sure you learned a lot about that churn racing in the pro race at Tour of America's Dairyland. And it is exactly what you're talking about. It's one thing to get positioning, but you've got to hold on to it. And that's where, at this point, it is an absolute free-for-all here in Crit City. Pandemonium will reign supreme here as, yeah, you can see, Nathan, there's no organization. Everybody just fighting to be there as they're going to be coming up and getting that bell. We're down to the last ronde, one lap to go the next time they see the finish arch. Remembering that there are two arches. You can see it they will see it in just a moment here. There it is. They'll make the U-turn. Then they'll hit it. And this is it. Last lap has arrived.
8 here
European
for Team
East.
SZ. A little bit of a kick here coming on in, and it looks like to the line. They're actually doing a little bit of a sprint lap here, a hot lap, and on through. St. Pierre takes it down, and will this make the separation with one to go? One to go out here, 197 beats per minute. That makes things really interesting with a hot lap on the going into the final now. Smith here over the top. Aid Ryan here hanging on. This is really getting interesting now as the riders are just looking for position but don't want to find themselves on the front for too long unless they're going to go on the attack, but they're not. Down to 4 watts per kilogram is the most I'm seeing from this group as they're looking to set up for that final kick. They're allowing a lot of riders to get back on terms here, Dave.
Yeah, and you can see, Nathan, that a lot of riders there, because this could very well be a setup move for a teammate that we're looking at there, is that almost stringing that group out single file. The real battle there was at the back, but it looks like everybody's recovered and is back up on their feet and standing and ready to try to deliver that knockout blow. I think we got what we were looking for. It's going to be a select group sprinting for the win here. Again, European East sees this one has come down to it. It is on like Donkey Kong. Does anyone attack and get away from this group, Nathan, at this point? I don't think so. It looks like they're going to hit hard for the final sprint now.
Snowy here from Dirt BC, coming out of South Africa, 5.8 from him, backing off just a little
Rider
bit.
to
It was a
watch.
little bit of a kick. Now I think he's just looking for positioning here. Hubert Lawrence there. Kirchner cycling over the top with that power up. He's looking for an arrow. He did not want that steamroller. You see all the steamrollers being used here at this point because they're still looking for arrows. That's a big dice roll that they're waiting on. Should have kept an earlier arrow. Charlie Ryan, now too much from Ryan, I think. He was looking to set up third wheel, but now finds himself on the front. He's going to have to fade backwards, but not too much. It's going to be all about just feathering it correctly, but they're just letting him dangle. What a place to be for Ryan now. As he fades to 50, he needs to see a lot higher speeds than that. Watch them roll through right on by him. He's going to have to kick a second time now. Here we go. Invisibility power up coming from a rider here because he's just using whatever he's got. Tucker to the front now. No, Schultz. There's that arrow, though, that we were talking about, and it's going to be Selderick? No, Molina on the kick. Silky's there as well, but off the front, Snowy, as we said, he's the man, and he takes it almost perfectly, but is it going to be enough? No, Tucker! Tucker at the last moment takes it down over Snowy Evans for third. I thought he timed it perfectly, but no go for Snowy as Tucker just comes right over the top.
What a finale. And Nathan, that was impeccable timing from Tucker to take the win there. You don't do better than that. Absolutely stellar effort. We got the women now coming into their finale. The hits don't quit here on Zwift Community Live. So let's jump in with the women. We'll go back and take a look at results in just a moment, see how things sorted out for the men. But it looks like that three-rider group, Nathan, is still together, and they've got this on lockdown now.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle between the two Aeonian riders and the KC rider, Kirchner Cycling. Will Astrid start making attacks? I think she just needs to watch Marshall, though, and Sarah at this point. I mean, the reality is they've got the matches to burn, and it looks like they're watching at this point.
So, yeah, and this is really hard to sprint out of a three-rider group as well, just kind of picking up. So Sarah is the American rider here, tagged on to the back. How many laps to go here? Let me get
This
a
is the
feel
final.
for
I believe
that.
we're in the final lap here as we make our way around. And Sarah here sitting in. I think she's the one to watch. I think she's got the big kick amongst the riders here. So Marshall most likely just working and covering anything from Astrid here for her.
Lucy Marshall there with the Welsh flag. Astrid, the German rider for Kirkmeyer. Aeonian, the team for Lucy Marshall. And Sarah. Is that even though the kit doesn't match, Nathan? She's Aeonian, you were saying?
I
So
believe.
two riders.
Maybe I'm incorrect there. I thought she was riding for Aeonian, but that's on my. That might be just my bad. 100%.
So I have a
seeing
feeling
TBR
it's every
there,
woman for
actually.
herself. Yeah, if you had two riders on the same team, you have a distinct advantage here.
No,
with
it was
with
that's
tactic,
my.
but
It's Herd. It's actually a Herd rider here,
There we
Sarah.
go.
So that is my fault, 100%. I saw the cap and thought it was an Aeonian
there's a lot of
cap, I
similarities.
think. So yeah, and so I thought they were it just looked very similar jerseys. So that is my fault. So Sarah's looking to ride for Herd here. And I do recognize the rider. I wonder what Herd team she rides for a lot of times. They come into the final UK here.
So that's going to be the Kirkmeyer kit there. What a great team they are, the German, Austrian, and I believe sprinkle a little Swiss in there, especially with the domination they had at the Olympics in the mountain bike. So we'll take a look here at Marshall is the rider sitting second wheel, Sarah sitting third wheel there, the Herd rider. And all right, it's a complicated affair when you have a three-rider sprint, Nathan. And again, no alliances here. Every woman is going to be fighting for the top step, but this is it right here, right now. Women are going to bring this one home. They've worked hard to get this.
Here comes Sarah now, 5 watts per kilogram. She's starting to lead things out. This is the moment to go. They're sitting on her wheel, and they're not going to get a lot of draft through here. Now there's 8.6. I think this is already over. I don't think that there's just no way. 13 watts per kilogram. Goodbye. And Sarah here from the Herd team here, Astrid, followed up by Marshall. That's it.
So yeah, Lucy going to take the final step on the podium. That Aero helmet, the Aero power-up was the icing on the cake there for the finale. Congratulations, Sarah. The American is going to take it.
Hunt now coming to the line. Looks like she got a little bit of a breakaway from the rest of the ladies. Teresa here now coming to the line there as well, and that's going to be for the HDR ladies in the hit on looks like she's on the bench here with a solid setup. Oh, DZR! Oh, nips her at the line. Sergio comes on through Armstrong. That's the situation for those within the top 10. So, solid results all around for the ladies.
Quit City never disappoints, does it, Nathan? I mean, the thought process that goes into creating this classic race was absolutely perfect. Love it. It was definitely a different kind of race that we had out here today, and just the variety we were looking for.
There's just always action on this course. That's the thing I
Yeah,
really do like
really.
about this course is it's just nonstop action on the course here. So, looking through, we're gonna try and get some results in here for you in just a moment as we wait for them to load on up for us. As we do have, and we will be covering. We'll be taking a small break as there is a pretty big gap between the races out here today. We are covering C3 across all of the categories today. Just so everybody, we do get those questions coming through a lot. It will be C3 across all of the categories today. We're kind of in a mode of rewarding the participation, right? It's a participation award. Those with the most that are showing up, they're getting their participation rewards. So here we got the results coming on in, and here's where things are at for the winners on the day across the line for the entirety of the race. Go ahead and take it away for us here, Dave.
Yeah, you bet, Nathan. So you can see the winning time at 39:58 here at Crit City Slam today for our Eastern Europe C3s. It was Tucker taking the win, Pruitt for silver, Evans for bronze, Alexander Coop ends up in fourth, Ecopichon in fifth, Hick for sixth, Berger for seventh, Molina for eighth, Hurley ninth, and Silk rounding out our top 10 here.
And in the women's race, it was going to be Sarah Frater coming on through with a 42.22, just ahead of Bantzek. This is going to be Marshall, followed up by
So
Hunt.
Sarah is Sarah Fader.
Yeah, do you know Sarah Fader?
Used to be my next door neighbor. Actually.
No way, so, come on.
But definitely, no, absolutely. But Sarah has been a long time American crit specialist who races on the velodrome as well. If I had known that was Sarah Fader, she's a stone cold killer, no doubt. Tremendous amount of experience getting on top of the podium all over the place in America. So to the other riders out there, you met a legitimate in real life champion out there today.
That's absolutely awesome. Good to see the connections that can be made through Zwift, and definitely connected with that finish line. I mean, that was 12 watts per kilogram, no joke. As Hunt Vistgard, I believe I got that right. Hale followed up by Sukru, and then Armstrong. That's your top 8 within the women's category for the Eastern Europe. We're going to take a small break. It's going to be about actually a little bit longer break than usual, everybody. About 20 minutes or so. We'll come back with 5 minutes to go to the start of the Central out here today. A little bit more traditional esportsy. If you don't usually see this on ZCL, but if you watch traditional esports, a lot of times there are some pretty big breaks between the tournament style of competition. A lot of times that you do see out there. We are on Crit City Slam race number 3 within the Zwift Classics. If you haven't checked it out, make sure to head over to WTRL.racing. You can sign up for these races, jump on in. They are using their new AutoCat system, which has been, it is in testing mode through the Zwift Classics as well. So there are changing things up a little bit here and there. So if you do get jumbled around a little bit for the Classics, make sure that just know that that's what's going on, that they're just looking to perfect it, as it's the first time being used in some live racing that is on a little bit larger scale. Next week will be the Richmond Challenge. That's an interesting course, as they're doing the Richmond course reverse on the UCI. Going to be very difficult as the climbs are so punchy and come right on at you. But this week, Crit City Slam. If you want to jump on in, they're still racing for the Americas, as well as we've got a couple hours yet of Europeans. So you're watching right now, you want to race, you can do so. Crit City Slam today. All right, everybody, we will see you in Just a about. We'll be back in about 20 minutes. We'll put up the screen a little bit of music. Enjoy, and we'll see you for the Central C3 in just about 20 minutes. And we're back with the Zwift Classics race number 3 in the Zwift Classics, the Crit City Slam on the downtown Dolphin course in Crit City, with a whole lot of virtual fans hanging out by the esports stage and crazy sprinting going on. This guy, I'm Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll next to me, obviously. If you've been here for the broadcast all the way through, you just watched the Eastern European, we had a little click there, Eastern European broadcast just a moment ago. And some crazy sprints to the line over and over again, Dave. I think that's what we're going to be seeing all day today, is essentially the those with a very high, very short burst of watts per kilogram are going to be those that are playing out on it's the usual crit kind of situation.
Yeah, it sounds like a crit anywhere in the world on any given Saturday or Sunday or Friday night even. But absolutely, that ability to make a lot of power for a short amount of time is the name of the game here. But you got to be in that group that sprints. It's not just about making that power. And that's been the thing that I love so much about the Crit City Slam. Again, we saw dramatic selections being made. A lot of times it's these counterattacks that come after our preem sprints. Every third lap we're sprinting out here for points today. This group, I have it 16 laps. Does that sound like good math to you, Nathan? 31 kilometers of racing, just over, or just under, barely under 2K per lap out here.
I believe it's 16 for the men and 14 for the women. 14 for the women. Yep. 16 for the men, 14 for the women in the C3s. We do have a little bit of a replay of how things just went down, actually, with Tucker, that we did a call there. Stuart Featherstone, one of our good buddies, said to watch out for this guy, and he wasn't wrong, that's for sure. As we do see how it ended up playing out here. We are on Schultz. The camera's going to move around a little bit here on us here. But as you see, moving very quickly to the front, there is the WLC rider there that was taking over toward the front there. Melina's also looking to go to the front, but it was Evans and Silky, who I thought had timed things really, really well. But no, Snowy as well as Tucker had already given good kicks and were already off the front there as they're being chased down by these other two, actually, as it is going to be Snowy and Tucker here who are pretty much just walking away with this one off the front. As you can see, Snowy trying to hold on. But Tucker, look at that there coming from him. 15 watts per kilogram around that final corner. Look at the speed from Tucker here into this final, coming out of this final corner, and the weight and the moment that he kicked from it there as well, where he comes from. Right here, Tucker's pushing 15 with that arrow power up, and that speed around the corner is just so much. Overtakes, cross the line, and takes out his teammate there, Snowy. I believe Cooper Evans took it down there for second and third. So that was the situation. In the women's race, it was Sarah, your friend Fader, with a solid 13 watt per kilogram sprint, just walking away from it with it, Dave. And this rider is a rider that you know. We found out at the end of the race.
Yeah, anybody who's raced criteriums really. So Sarah is a mom now, and I have to do my math correctly, but her daughter is probably into 8, 9 years old. But before Sarah was a mom, she was one of the dominant sprinters on the American scene. Sarah Caravella was her maiden name that she raced under. And yeah, there was a real heyday of American racing back when Sarah was in the mix. So as you could see, though, Nathan, this course was super selective out here. 3-rider group sprinting, you don't see that too often in a criterium, but it makes sense when you see the way these women raced.
Yeah, they were really pushing the pace out there today. Now, speaking of the course that they have been on out here today, let's take a quick look at it. Amongst the top C1s, they will be doing the 38K. It'll be a little bit less than that amongst the C3s that we are covering out here today. So we're looking at 31K for that 16 laps. I think around 20, I want to say 7 for the 14 laps out there today. So it does have the KOM. It's a little bit deceptive. It isn't very much climbing. It's a little 2-tier cobble climb, but they do have the steamroller out there today that is very helpful on the cobble climb. That little section over by the esports stage, definitely a little bit of riser. There are not a lot of people until they get out there recognize that that is a crucial section, of course, that you see on the left-hand side of the graphic. Little bit of downhill before you do go into that 2-tier cobble climb. That will be the main place everybody's going to be looking for. The start-finish banner, of course. Be on the watch out for the laps as well if you are out there. or you're watching the broadcast, because keeping track of them can be a little bit difficult at times. We do have amongst the men and the women, they are about to take off. 20 seconds to go to the start here for the men's race.
Yeah, so it was nice to see a cool mix of power ups available out here. The steamroller is one that only applies in certain situations, but when you need it, it really makes a big difference. And basically, you magically turn cobblestones into smooth tarmac out there when you apply it. And there's a sector where we found it really makes a difference out here in the Crit City Slam. The third of the Zwift Classics. This one, very unique day of racing. The sprinters have been licking their lips waiting for this day. And certainly, as we said, in order to sprint for the win, you've got to be in the front group. And that is going to be a challenge as we jump right in here, getting the guys out on course again. 16 laps for just over 31K of racing for this group. The women, just about the same, 14 laps for them.
One thing I want to point out is Wahoo Lacole have been on a recruiting train. I mean, they have been on, it seems like, because I am seeing WLC show up in game way more than I ever have. That is for sure. So, I think, also the reality of perhaps their presence in the world of YouTube, their live streaming, having Laverick on there, having the reality of Chris Pritchard and a few others, and that contingency have really gotten the name out there. And I'm wondering if they went on a little bit of an open recruiting spree, or if they were out there trying to find riders, because WLC are showing up so often in this European crew.
Nathan, I think you'll get a chuckle at this, or you'll certainly have an understanding of this. When I look at the top 10 ranked riders in Zwift Power, I see these are some numbers I'm seeing that would not be what you'd expect on everyday Zwift racing. 80 kilograms, 87 kilograms, 83, 78, 79. These are the numbers of the riders that are sitting at the very top. That speaks to an entirely different type of racer is suited to this course. I've said it before, horses for courses, right? Well, this is going to be for those thoroughbred stallions that sprint, no doubt about it. Because, Nathan, I think even you would admit 87 kilo, but that is the second ranked rider on Zwift Power Points out here. Unique.
Yeah, and I think, it is definitely unique. And that's a great point, actually, that when it comes to certain races like this, you do have a reality that it is going to be all about hot laps. Ed Harms letting everybody know 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Be on the watch out for those laps. But on a course like this, I really do think that it does come down to just a lot of pure power and being able to roll away from a pack. That's or not roll away from a pack, but be able to put out huge amounts of power with high amounts of speed. One thing that always got me in crit racing and some flatter road racing was, I get in and amongst this crowd, and usually on the mountain bike, or if we're out on like a really hilly group ride, I'd be like, oh yeah, no problem hanging with these guys, whatever might be happening. We get into a crit situation, all of a sudden we're doing 32 to 40 miles per hour, and I'm like, what is happening? Why am I struggling so much? And it like you said, horses for courses, and a lighter rider, if they don't time things well and they don't sit in correctly and use that, just the reality, you just have less pure power. And use it at the right times, you can find yourself in the hurt locker real quick amongst some of these really strong boys.
Well put, Nathan. And, I think really this is that spectrum that you're talking about when you look at watts per kilo. Then these are the guys that climb so well, making the front group in any of the Zwift Classics that have that extended climb. That's where you see the guys that are in that 6+ watts per kilo. Here is where you see the guys that in a sprint can make 1,500 watts. That's Mario Cipollini type numbers. So I love it that these riders have this this course to race on because it's perfect for them. They finally get to kind of have things play to their advantage because this right now it doesn't get better for a sprinter to be in this group, and it is a massive field that we're looking at here in the early going. Nathan, I would expect that we'll see this group split after you saw those laps showing up 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. These are the sprints that we have. Oftentimes the lap after these sprints is where you see the splits happen.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right there. We are most likely going to see some splits happening when the sprints actually take place. It will ramp some things up a whole lot. We are into lap number 2, 15 to go, be 14 to go here in just a moment. And our first little kick is going to be happening real soon here.
Nathan, your in real life experience, which Wisconsin, the state where Nathan lives, hosts one of the best series of racing of this discipline, criteriums in America. Without any doubt, it's called TOAD, Tour of America's Dairyland. And Nathan, I know you got over there and raced. Now, typically, if you started with a group of 70 to 80 cat or Pro 1-2 riders, you would expect to see 60 of them finish in the front group on a relatively flat course. This is a little bit different than that. This is more like a Stillwater course that you would have seen in the old North Star Nature Valley days, where there's enough of terrain variation here that the stronger riders who are really sowing their oats will put some guys in trouble out here. I completely agree that you're not going to see 75% of this group together when we ring the bell at one lap to go. It'll be more like 50% of these guys will make it through that gauntlet.
Yeah, the last day of Toad was in Tosa, downtown Wauwatosa.
Was that a hard? See, I don't know the courses well enough.
Yeah,
Is that
right outside of Milwaukee. And there was a climb. There was a climb just like this, actually, right in the middle of it. Kind of two-tier, and a very sharp descent on the other half. And less than half the field finished. I think we started with 70-plus riders, and we ended up with, I think, 28 finishing with the lead group, 25, something like that. So very similar type situation as to what you're talking about. We are going to kick off the front here. Now, this is very interesting because this might be a go like early on here from the coalition rider to try and get away a little bit. We'll see if they can hold on to this. Now it's going to actually be, is that going to be Wheeler here it's going to be restart off the front. Dirt there. Seb from Beast Mode's coming across some of the big names here. Bangs Madsen here now giving a little bit of a kick as well. The Danish rider off the front from DZR on the Dogma with those. This is the new all-arounder bike that's really sped things up here recently. Just a new bike that just got released out into the game now. 7.5. I don't know if he's going to hold on to this. 58, 57 kilometers per hour. Jarlin's coming across here. His teammates actually pulling the entirety of this group up. DZR in his Dave.
Wow, hot sauce coming through. No doubt about it. This is how you do damage in the early going. We'll not only be scoring here as they come through the line, but I can't wait to see what this has done to the front of this bike race. There's going to be some significant damage assessment that we're going to be looking at. So, all right, Nathan.
What is this name? Iwabuchi Botman leader. This is a great name. This guy's taking it down from Japan. Some sort of like anime.
We've got some research ahead of us here.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
He took down the sprint handily, though.
Look at all these flags, Nathan. This is the most internet. I love the Zwift Classics, and this is going to be a special day of racing. These guys are really having at it. They got the monster sledgehammer out. There's the Ghost being used. So you see a few riders there. I think that was more getting rid of the Ghost, looking to find, I don't know, Nathan, at this point in the race, wouldn't you most like to have, I guess it depends on what you're going to be trying to do out here, but looking for that aero power up, the helmet certainly seems like the one that I would want. Although the steamroller.
Look at that behind
really,
Dave.
Wow.
Look at this group behind.
Damage.
Yeah. And all of these riders trying to catch up right now, they're about to hit the climb again. I mean, this is what we're talking about. Not being able to hide, not in the right position. You're just going to be struggle bus on the back now.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but this is the men making the race right now. These are the gladiators of criterium racing, and they are right now having at it. There you can see, well played. See all the purple power-ups there? That's the steamroller, which basically lowers your rolling resistance on those cobblestones, where there's a difference between the tarmac, the smooth tarmac that they're on right now. Looks like we're going to jump in with the women and the Aeonian team, one of the most recognized teams in esports right now. I see we've got some herd of Rockhopper Penguins with us as well, Nathan, as this is a strong group of ladies jumping in here with the front end of the women's race.
Taplin, Buckley, it looks like Bankston now taking over. Pools there from Aeonian now. This is their first sprint now as Taplin now takes back over. Helen from Aeonian is going to be the lead out. It looks like no TFC now to the front as TFC looks to be taking over. Z-Sun now was leading into the downhill. Now up and on the saddle, 8.1 watts per kilogram, but that's a little bit early. Now, this is the moment to go, and it's perfect there from the Aeonian rider. Ron Canyon. Will she hang on? Here comes Bankston. Bankston trying to come on through as well as Carla, I believe, but no, it's going to be Ronkainen there from Finland taking it down. I believe that's going to be maybe Carla Williams. I'm not positive. The K there.
I believe you're correct. Carla is in this race. That's the Finnish rider, Anna Ronkainen, that you were talking about there. It's Aeonian with also Mandy Poole is here, Helen Kohlberg. You mentioned Carla Williams and Melissa McCarter as well. So Aeonian has a very strong squad. Let's see if you can see a bunch of their jerseys up in this front group. As a matter of fact, I'm counting 4 Aeonian up in the front group here, Nathan.
I wonder if that was like a let's go from Buckley saying good job, or like let's break the rest of the riders that are trying to get back on terms right now. As Elaine here from Herd off the back, trying to grab back onto a wheel, 171 beats per minute. She could do it right now with this little downhill. She needs a kick. Right now, though, no, it's going to go away here at 1.8. Done off the back. Barker from Z-Sun just hanging on after that sprint. It looks like at 185 beats per minute. It's pretty high heart rate still after that kick. This is the hard part to hang on if you did just try and claw your way back and you get right back into the climbing sections. Now, if they keep on punching, that's where it really can put the lactate through the roof and you find yourself in a whole lot of trouble. On the front now, it's going to be the Penguins with Catherine now. A little bit and she's invisible. Nobody can even see her, but Rankainen's covering it, not even knowing it. As we got Chamanian now as well, coming through with that arrow power. This is actually attacking, I think, because those are some power-ups you usually want to hang up. Yeah, they're splitting things up now.
Yeah, that's one way to do it for sure. Just take matters in your own hands. And right now, so this Aeonian team, great example. That's the Finnish flag of the woman who's clearly one of the animators out here, Anna. So you can see the kit here for Aeonian. People oftentimes will ask, how do I get a kit into the game? Well, they did it from the ground up. Carla Williams and company. It's as simple as organize about 150 women, get them all on the same page, create a tremendous vibe, get them racing together, get them out on WTRL on Thursdays, and then advance up through the ZRL. And then next thing you know, your kit's in the game. I'm joking because they did so much work, Nathan, to get their kit in the game. I love the fact that they get to fly their colors like this up in the front group here as we're working our way through the early going. 14 laps for the women, but you can see this is a very aggressive race that we've got going on right now. Aeonian
TFC
is not just
continue to press the pace on the front. Interesting to see. As well, now it's going to be Kirchmer actually 4-5. This is a good little move. Now, she needs to be consistent, though. 10 laps to go. She's got a gap. See, now, really the moment was right here, in my opinion, is like from right here, this little 1%. Now, Aeonian looking to go across. And it's these little attacks off the front over and over again that can end up splitting things. Catherine D now, 2.6. I don't think this is really attack. Just kind of covering things off the front, though.
I'm going to keep my eye on Annika Klaus, however, though. Very strong rider there for the Kirkmeyer team. You can see the Bumblebee kit. electricspirit.co or Electric Spirit Company, as Nathan and I like to call it. This is going to be Davey Doucette here as we take a look at the front of the men's race. Now, it looks like things have settled down a little bit, Nathan.
Yeah, calm right on down. I think the initial splits have taken place. You can see here riders, all those red dots are riders all over course. Where the arrow is where the main pack is at right now. But those little red dots show that there's a whole lot of suffering going on out on course today.
You know those ant farms that kids have, the side view of all the ants up in the trails? That's what that looks like. We got ants all over the place, left, right, and center. Right now.
And Hagen here from No Pins TR. This is a nice little kick. I saw 12 watts per kilogram from him. He's got a 1 second gap. So much effort for so little, though. A lot of times when you kick that hard, 12 watts per kilogram,
Well,
and you look at 1 second, it's almost nothing compared to what this group can do as they pull on through.
that's what I was talking about earlier, Nathan, is sometimes it's really tempting when you find yourself surging through the front and all of a sudden just dangling off the front. But at this point in the bike race, with so much ahead of us and such a strong group that clearly they just shut things down. It's cover and kill, cover and kill. So if you want to go through that experience, you certainly are welcome to. But I think most riders are going to want to try to keep that match dry so they can strike it and light it and turn into a human fuse out there for the finale. This is going to be another moment here, Nathan. You can see a few guys at the back here just grip it and rip it and try to get back into that group because you cannot play around back here for too long.
One thing I definitely want to recognize too with this is that the riders, I think, maybe working together a little bit for some of the teams. If you continue to send people off the front there and keep the speeds really, really high, that's one of the huge advantages in a crit race of having a team is that you can send riders to the front, and as long as you're well positioned and you know where to be when, anybody who's trying to be involved at the front of the race that doesn't have teammates like that, they might find themselves in a bad position as far as their or just in a lot of hurt. Well, you're just sending riders who have been resting to the front over and over and over again, keeping the speeds as high as you possibly can. A gap opens up, and it's all over because these matches, they've got a huge match book to work with over and over again. Well, you're wasting a lot. So a team like DZR today, WLC, let's see who else has Evo may have a little Electric Spirit Company, Z Sun, Dirt. If you're up against these teams that can send riders to the front to keep the speeds high and you keep on trying to stay involved with them, you might find yourself in a really bad spot.
I couldn't agree more, Nathan. That was extremely well put. How do you affect the finale of the bike race right now? By doing exactly what Nathan said. So you have to designate who your sprint is. That's the thing about in real life racing versus esports is in real life racing, you can organize a lead out. I mean, just look what Legion of Los Angeles is doing out there. When you've got 6 of the 10 strongest guys in a bike race, you control it, you shut everything down, and then you set your sprinter up and even have a backup sprinter. In their case, they sweep podiums. But out here, it's not the same. So how do you do it? Well, exactly what Nathan was saying. You press the pace, you put riders in trouble, and you force those solo riders to chase while your sprinter is just sitting on playing the game, letting the game play, knowing that he or she will be there for the finale. And Nathan, what you said was prophetic because look what's happening now. There's 15 riders who are fighting for their lives out here. Where is that World Elite Zwifters? I'm trying to identify the team with the white shoulders with the green and black. I see some Portuguese flags, so that must be. I apologize for not having over on the women right now in my Zwift Power, but this is Peta Z. Must be who we're looking. Well, a few teams up here making a difference. This is going to be R3R that we're looking at now.
Yeah, Sturdy here now. Nice little kick coming in for him from out of Scotland. It does look like it's pretty quiet here as they wait for the next sprint. Evo now looking to come across here in the men's race. Now 5-3 and brings it back. Now whether or not there's continuance is going to be the question here. As Larson, BK, let's go Stu from Evo. Trying to say he did. He was trying to give it a go. He was trying to give it a little bit of a go. Not going to happen. It looks like I like the in-game chatter. Always a lot of fun.
Good word, continuance, and there was none. And that really speaks to now other riders back in this group are going to realize if I'm going to attack out of this front group here, I'm going to want to do it one time and go all in, as these guys are more than up to the task of covering. Boy, it is a real array of teams represented in this front group as well. It's going to be a really interesting finale. Moving to the middle part of the race for the men right now. And again, this is the select front group because I would say they've taken it down about 50% from what we started with.
Women just coming through with the sprint. They did get a little bit of separation from some of the others in and amongst here, as we do have an attack off the front here coming in from Helen and Renique Phil. Philippians 4-13 is what she's saying there out of Ireland. And Helen now sitting on the wheel. As the Quokkas, I'm not familiar with that team. I'm going to have to take a look and see. I've actually never even heard of that team.
I'm with you. Almost looks like a right now in this group. I'm trying to see who's got a teammate with them here. Aeonian is the one team right now that is sitting in the catbird seat. That's for sure. Does anyone else have any help, Nathan? I think it's just Aeonian here with some serious numbers in this group.
Yeah, it is going to be Aeonian versus everyone else out here today is what it looks
Couple
like.
Kirkmeyers, excuse me. I see.
Oh, you're right.
Couple.
You're right. There are two Kirkmeyers. Mobius here alongside of Anika. That's going to be the situation with these riders. So be on the watch out for this Taplin, though. This TFC rider continues to be so strong, it seems like, and really well represented at the front of this race.
Ella Kroll and Sandra Mobius, the two Kirkmeyer riders there.
The rider out of Ireland, herd of Rockhopper Penguins, usually a herd rider here, Renique, actually. So level 36 Zwifter and 112 races, it looks like. I think she changed it up to the Quokkas, maybe perhaps for another race out there. 168 beats per minute. So tapping here, TFC. Herd rider coming on through. What is a Quokka?
Quokka sounds very Australian to me.
That's what I was thinking too. Quokka, we'll go ahead and Quokka, also known as short-tailed scrub wallaby, is a small macropod about the size of a domestic cat. The conservation status says they're vulnerable. Actually,
that's
Australian,
not encouraging if you're a Quokka.
It looks like Australia is where they're.
There we go. That adds
really
up. That is
cute,
not what you want to hear in the breakdown of what the world thinks of you is vulnerable. Poor Quokkas. They must have something else going for them. They must be incredibly cute. All right,
they are
so
extremely cute. Actually, they are extremely cute.
Oh yeah, and my gosh, he looks so friendly and vulnerable. It's not even funny. So yeah. I don't know that you get much cuter than a Quokka.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. The Quokkas are good stuff. The Quokkas are definitely good stuff. Back in with the men. We're coming into
that's
the
our
next
Irish
here.
rider.
Here we go.
Renique.
A little bit of a kick off the front. Hagen. Now they're trying to make a move, and this is it.
Yeah.
Wheel from. I mean, this is it right here for another sprint section. He's going to just try and have a little bit of an upset. No Pins is staying involved with him right on the wheel. So now if they can kick still and stay awake, the pack will most likely catch them. But this could be a split. Again, Harms coming through. WLC has been very involved. He's got the kick, though, for it now. We see a big watts per kilogram coming through from Harms. But where is this going? Is it going to be Hagen going to hang on? Iwabuchi not going to be able to do it again, it looks like. Knudsen. DZR for third. Nice little sprints there. Halfway through the race. We still got about 10 kilometers of racing to go.
Can you imagine what if you could be in cam with these guys, what that effort has done, as that was a brutal minute of racing right there. Let's see who's going to survive this. Now, Nathan, I still not going to buy in on the breakaway, but I do expect that at least 10 riders are going to have to throw in the towel here, because it's really not about the break. It's about making the selection after selection. You can see a couple small groups being trying to close down a gap out here. It looks like most of them are going to be able to they're welding it back together.
This is the moment, though. If there's anybody in the pack right now, like if there's like 3 or 4 that are in the pack right now that didn't involve themselves or have something to give, that 1 to 2 seconds these riders are trying to come back right now, this is the moment to go, because everyone else is going to be so tired from that effort right now, and they're all going to be looking to recover while you're going into this climb. This is when you give everything for a solid 5 seconds. There it is on the front.
Doesn't
look
like
first thing that
One of the most counterintuitive but first lessons that you learn when you really get into advanced racing is this, that you don't attack a bike race when it's easy to get away. You attack when it's in the gutter and no one else is willing to suffer that much. And that's how you become an exceptional. That's the champion standard. And this course does lead to that. You have to be incredibly brave to attack. And obviously, it's going to hurt quite a bit to try to hold off these monsters. We're in now. Hashtag love tiles. I have no idea what to make of that.
He's a carpenter.
Yeah, a roofer.
A roofer. He's a carpenter. He's yeah.
Yeah.
So laying tiles. He's remodeling my bathroom.
Well-laid tiles.
I appreciate. I love it when you. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of them too. I mean, they've got a whole team of love tiles going on here.
Tiles must be a person, is my guess.
Maybe.
Like Tillis.
That's not a bad.
Something. Something must be happening there. We learn something every broadcast we do. Actually, we learn multiple things like Quokkas today. I'd never heard of those guys. They're incredibly cute. They live in Australia, and they're vulnerable. So there's some vulnerable riders out here as well, Nathan, to tell you the truth.
I'm gonna find these guys. Love Tiles is actually no, it's a team. It's a new team.
It's a team. Hashtag Love Tiles.
Love Tiles Cycling Esports Team Riders. I mean, this is they don't have anything about us, but it's all Portugal. Andre Sosa, Aguirre Love Tiles, Aguirre. Let's see, there's Carlos Fernandez, Francisco Costa. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them.
We'll learn more.
Yeah.
Here's your attack, Nathan.
There it is. Stewardy. Yep. With the Scottish. This is the moment.
Sneaky move here. He's using that ghost absolutely perfectly. There you can see the ghost is gone. He pops up. They got to be like, whoa, who's that guy? What happened? And there he is. That's a gap. This is it. All right, Nathan, we're pretty deep into this race now.
Yeah,
I believe it was 31.4K, so we've got about 10K to go. This is legit. This will be fun. Solo attack
continues
up the road.
Here. 4.0, G from Evo settling down. They're not interested in chasing per se. Well, he's not really given too much here at this point. Now 5.5, I think we're going to see some orange numbers behind, bring this back. And I think this is all going to well back together pretty easily as they're pushing 7 watts per kilogram on the chase. It was a nice little camera time, though, for a race.
Good effort. I think after the women's Olympic road race here in Tokyo, the breakaway and the art of the breakaway is going to be something that we're going to be re-examining. And it's great for cycling to see a ride like that.
100%. Absolutely awesome there.
Isn't it fun? I mean, it's just so cool to see someone just come from nowhere to upset. You know, I love the Dutch women. I think they're great. But boy, you know, we all learned a little something about heart.
Here we go now. A little bit of a kick off the front there. It is going to be Roan Kynan trying to chase it down. It is going to happen. The TBR rider is not going to be able to hold off.
She's tough.
Ionian. Bankston now for third. Mobius going to have to settle for a fourth and nothing across the line there. But nice job there from Anna. Ionian continuing to dominate and control this race.
Yeah, she's one of the Premier League riders that Aeonian has really helped shepherd up into the very, very elite level of esports.
Danger zone here, I think, Dave.
I agree.
Look how split up it is too. There's no consistent train really here. It's
There's no time to
rider.
organize. It's just it's like being someone holding your head underwater. You just got to break through and get into that group right now. It's do or die for these women.
Who's pressing the front? Somebody is making this happen still in the front. It is going to be Aeonian. Yep. They continue to do this.
This is how you do it. This is tactically advanced level, but what they're trying to do here is get rid of some sprinters they don't want to deal with later. This is exactly how you punch tickets. They're even going to get some help, it looks like now, Nathan. Some other riders starting to rotate through like Annika here. But it is going to get welded back together. So, or is it? That last 5 meters is the toughest to close.
They're just going to do it and hit the climb. We'll see how it ends up playing out immediately after the climb. That's going to be the question.
This KOM is a little more than you might think out here. As this is where you
punch
start
in
seeing
the face. If you work before it, it's a tough one. That's for sure. If you rest into it, it's not too bad. But if you have to work into it, it's definitely some struggle. That's for sure. It's
It's like
tapping
a lot
again.
of things in life. If you show up bright-eyed and fresh and ready to go, it's not a big deal. But if you show up ragged, it's not pretty. That's for sure. You know how you're going to beat Aeonian, Nathan, is doing what you've been talking about today. You're going to have to attack them solo here. Because Ronkanen, the Finnish rider on Aeonian, is very, very quick in the finale, and she's proving it again and again and again
She's
out
ghosted up
here.
to the front too. Loving it.
There she is, Anna, right now, right in the middle of your screen. Is that her Zwift helmet that Martin was telling us? And I saw that the announcement came through that there is a ZRL Champions helmet. It's not quite that one, though, is it? It's similar, though. A white helmet for all our Zwift Racing League WTRL Championship teams. Very cool.
It is
That's
very
not
cool.
it,
Yeah, we'll
though.
have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if we do find it in game for us here.
I haven't
Helen
seen
from
it yet in
Aeonian.
game. Have you?
No, I have
You're so
not.
much more observant than I am. Yeah.
Have not seen it just as of yet. Let's jump in with the men. I think we're about to have another sprint from them as they make their way around
Seb,
course here.
our man.
Beast mode. A little bit of a kick now, starting to open up. There's 8-3 now, and Seb looking to hang on well, but it's going to be Grief. No, wow, look at Knudsen. The
Knudsen's a
DZR
machine,
rider.
this
Oh,
guy.
my goodness. Woo! Cross the line, man
Well-
leader now for second, and I think Seb took third there, actually.
Good for Seb. Seb, not only a great racer, but does a tremendous job with Rose Beast Mode. We love that team out of Germany. Knudsen, though, an absolute monster. Going to be really tough to beat out here, and they're getting down to it. I'm going to say, Nathan, you probably have it right in front of you, but we should be just now going inside of 5 laps to go.
6K, 5-ish to go here, and it's all coming back together. I thought maybe somebody would counter because you could tell everybody
so
really
hard.
hurt after that one.
Because you're going to burn a match to split the group right now. And I don't think everyone's looking in their matchbook, Nathan, and they see that they've got one left and it's a little bit soggy. So,
the other thing is that the new AutoCAT system does really make things pretty, there's a lot of parity within these groups, I think, too. So, I'll jump into a Crit
That's
City
awesome.
race and I'll be like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to attack and I'm going to attack and I'm going to attack. And I'm not, if I use the AutoCAT system, I wonder if I would be thinking about this or it would be feeling very differently than I'm thinking this may feel for some of the riders. Just the level
how differently.
The level might be so the same that you can't just attack. You're all at the limit.
The higher your level of respect is for your competitor, the more judicial you need to be in how you're going to try to win this event. You can't just go about this willy-nilly out here. If you want to win this bike race, you're going to have to nail it. I mean, there's no room for error when you're in a group with these stone cold killers, Nathan.
Things calming right on down 100%. You cannot slip up one bit here.
You can't attack this race and then come back and go ahead. Sorry.
No, the TFC rider just continues to press, as you were saying, against the Aeonians here. Taplin, this is Karen Taplin.
I like
She's
it.
Level 23. Now, what I want to say here, though, is that Taplin has one page of results, and it's all WTRL team time trials and a TDZ, Zwift Classics Apple Lab. That's it. And that's going all the way back to January. So it isn't like, that's it between January and now. She's just been doing lots of WTRL. Really cool to see here from the TFC rider. Platinum League,
This bodes
WTRL.
well.
Not seeing any.
She's got racing
League
instinct.
even. So she's just jumping on in to the 2 classics races and really right up there with some of the top women. So great to see from Karen Taplin.
I tell you what, man.
TFC
WTRL.
Blackbirds.
Yeah, I see the Welsh rider that you're talking about, Karen Taplin. Nathan, I have to say all credit to WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League, and the Thursday time trials that have been such a building block or even stepping stone for a rider like Karen, because she should have tremendous confidence with the riding that she's been doing there. And here she is going up against the full squadra. When you're talking about Aeonian here, that's the woman to beat. So I also like what Mobius is about here. Sandra Mobius, the German rider on Kirkmeyer. This is going to be a very interesting finale for our women. And you're looking at the front group here as they're making their way down to similar situation. Not that many laps of racing remaining here. We've sorted out the wheat from the chaff. This is all wheat. But who's going to end up winning out of this group? Aeonian's not just going to have their way with these ladies, Nathan. From what we've seen here, there's some real resiliency being shown here. I love it. And that was a great call on your behalf, talking about Karen Taplin, the TFC rider, who, if she can win out of this group, Nathan, that is a massive confidence boost that she should be receiving.
Yeah, and she's just been really aggressive. So I'm, being newer to racing, if she's just that strong, is there an experience level there too? But she's been on the front over and over again, pressing the pace, which has been really great to see. We'll see if it ends up paying off for her.
We haven't seen anywhere close to her sprint numbers. Watch how things change for her after today, because I'm expecting that we're going to see Karen finding a whole new level out here in these last couple of laps. She's ready for it. This is the Irish rider, Ranique, that we're looking at. We learned what a quokka is today. She's from that herd of family, somewhat similar kit to, from this side, it's a little, you can tell there that she's, but that same blue color, but she's with the quokkas racing today. Doing a really good job herself, talking about Ranique.
Now it is going to be the sprint time here for the women again, coming through, and they're going to have, I think, we'll have a couple to go here. I think 3 to go perhaps after this one. Maybe 4 to go here. We'll have to take a look on the right-hand side in just a moment here. Chamanyan there.
Barker. Son. Yeah. We haven't shouted her out yet, Nathan. She's positioned very well right now, talking about the Z-Sun rider, Joe Barker here, the Canadian.
3 to go. It'll be 2 to go in just a moment here. Another little bit open. Things are opening up here. It's going to be Catherine here from the Penguin, watt per kilogram Penguins here. Visibility power-ups, but the timing not quite right there, as it is again going to be Mobius and Raikkonen coming to the line. Mobius looks like she's just going to walk away actually from this one. And Buckley from BVRT. Buckley, again, she has been one to watch out for, I think. She was early on saying, let's get this moving. We're not going to wait for anybody. Is she going to try and encourage them to do so again?
Well, take a look at this now. How many times does this group come back together after these massive power surges? Maybe Ronkainen that time now, Anna Ronkainen, the Finnish rider, showing a little bit of a conservative play, looking to save something for the finale. Such a select group, and I think we might have seen a ticket getting punched there. Buckley's still here. Mobius, obviously one of the stronger riders up in this group. Karen Taplin more than holding her own. But
no, Taplin and Anika off
Taplin
the back, 181. Oh my goodness, and Anika's just going to pull her right on up. Mobius, they've got 2 to go, 1.5 to go at this point. This is the most crucial time out on course. Now in the men's race as well, there's things going down, tickets getting punched, people off the front. This is all out mayhem. We'll come back with the women here in just a moment. We do have the men's side of things now as well, as some attacks were going. Now it's all brought back together. And, a rider that I've consistently seen toward the front is E. Harms. Be on the watch out for that name. I have a feeling he's going to be one that's been kind of biding his time out there today.
Good call.
Again, to the
Very
front.
Good call.
Coalition though, with Nathan. Frey.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is coming up on the last lap here. I don't want to make
and then we're going to have a sprint here. We're going to have a sprint, and then it's going to be 1 to go. There'll be a sprint, and then 1 to go. Grief again leading things out. Not really in the right spot. It was again Iwabachi, the Batman leader. Here we go again. Just continues to take them down. Grief then, Knudsen there sitting in a good spot. And now, is Knudsen just looking to be in the right spot here? What is he doing? I'm wondering, 1.9. This is so perfect for him. He has been at under 2 watts per kilogram for the last 30 seconds. Look at that timing as far as where he is at and how he needs to be. Will he, though, going backwards, needs to go up a little, push a little bit here. I would have been kicking a little bit earlier to hang on to the front end of this group. Now he's got to fight his way through 5-5. Maybe he's Hove and his teammate Bank Madsen there maybe going to work with him, or perhaps that's who he's working for. We'll have to wait and see as we're into the last lap. Half a lap to go here, Dave.
This was a massive group that we started with to be down to this few riders in this front group. Shows you what a tough journey it has been to get to this point. And here it is. Look at how, Nathan, you can see more riders are getting tailed off. So they're continuing to press on the front. Getting the timing right is going to be the name of the game here, and I would not bet against the rider that you've got queued up on your screen. Knudsen has been phenomenal. This man knows how to get it right, and here we go. It looks like the first attack is being launched. It's Blues Browser here, Nathan, going big on the cobbles.
Boost Browser trying to get off the front, not going to be able to happen though. Hagen chases him right on down. It's a huge effort from Hagen, 11.3 watts per kilogram. Here we go, 10. Will he be able to hold on? I've seen it happen before. It's a big risk, but if nobody wants to chase at this point and they reserve their sprint, he's got to put his head down and continue. He cannot let up here at all. 8 watts per kilogram, 50 kilometers per hour. This is how you do it if it's going to happen. Jarlin's scared. Jarlin goes across. This is it. This is last-ditch efforts with half a K to go. We love to see it, Dave. Will there be an upset?
In order to win at this level, you've got to risk losing, and I think these two have done enough, Nathan, as they go all in. What an effort. This is going to dim the power.
They're just watching. They're watching them walk away, and they've got nothing to do.
They're gone. Jarland is going to do it. This is going to be epic. This will go down as one of the greatest wins in Crit City history.
Seb, here comes Seb. Is it going to hold? They're coming like crazy. It's a freight train, but it's too late. Jarlin's made it happen. I can't believe it. It almost never happens, and he makes it happen. Seb from Beast Mode just hangs on to third. The R3R rider was just ahead of him. I'm going to try. We're going to have to get a replay of all that. That was insanity. Holy.
If that was an in real life race, you would have bodies lying all over the place as they were sprinting into the back of a lapped group. What a phenomenal last lap. Nathan, I can't wait to see that one again. But that was a perfect example of fortune favoring the brave. They didn't wait for the sprint.
Renique here. Renique off the front. Now, again, we're into the last half lap for the women. Sorry to cut you up, but it's like back to back to back here. And another situation here coming in from the Irish woman here now. She's got 2 seconds over the Ionian riders now. The Ionian riders, I'm not sure they have anything left in the bank. Nobody can work with Runkainen. It's every woman for herself because she's just stronger than everyone else at this point. Helen trying to come across, but I think Renique has made this happen. But no, it's the same situation.
It's not over.
Dave.
It's not over. Anna is coming. Anna is coming. This is your worst nightmare. The Finnish Express has gone absolutely ballistic. And the Irish rider, hold on. Come on, Renique. As you can see now, the finish line, she's just in sight here. Oh, this is going to go to the line as it looks like Anna Rankainen is going to try to nail this one back. Oh.
Invisibility power up. Oh my gosh, is Rankainen going to come across without being seen? No, she's not. Up and out of the saddle. Oh, it's right. This is going to come right to
Renique's
the line. She's made it happen here. Rankainen now going to hold on. And Mobius from KC comes through for third. What a move.
Nathan.
What a move by Rankainen.
How do you beat the powerhouse Aeonian squad? Exactly like that. That was your Renique versus Goliath moment out there. The Irish, that is so Ireland. It's not even funny. Standing up against the big power and winning. Way to go, Renique.
I'm going to see if I can find when that move actually took place, because that was pretty phenomenal.
Two of the best finales we've seen all year happened within a 2-minute period there. That's exactly what Crit City is all about. We got one more race to go, the European West coming up, but we'll have a nice opportunity here as Nathan cues things up to go back and take a look at what we just saw again. Awesome. The gladiators of the road, Nathan. You get better finishes than that. I mean,
that was about as good as it gets. That was pretty awesome.
As they say, are you not entertained?
Back to back attacks like that. Really great to see. I'm trying to see if I can get the exact moment that Renique went, because that was really well timed, and it was that she held on to the line, yes, but it was the timing, it looks like, of her attack that really made things happen there. It does look
she obviously caught Aeonian on the back foot there for a moment, and that's how you do
Nathan.
it, because Anna Ronkainen, the Finnish rider, she was trying to close it down. If it had been another 200 meters, she probably would have, but it wasn't another 200 meters. The finish line was exactly where it was meant to be, and that was all heart out there today. This is the men's finish that
It'll
we're
come
taking a
across
look
here
at.
in just a second for the women here. And there it is. There's the attack. She goes on, you can see, going 596 watts per kilogram going
So
off the front. So this is with
half lap to go at this
cobbled
point.
section over the Queen of the Mountain, actually. But there's riders in the way. You see how she goes by the riders in the way there? She's got
So those are lapped
second at
riders.
this
That's
point.
traffic.
That was a
Yep.
brave move. I mean, that wasn't even, that wasn't.
That was the only way you were going to win. That was the only way you were going to win. She found an incredibly small window of opportunity and exploited that to her advantage. That's a real strong bike racer IQ right there.
Yeah, well played there. So that was the move and held on to the line. In and amongst the men's race, this is the situation. Seb trying to come back. Zarlin's going to just hang on as Hagen's there from the no pins R3R. Hagen held on, I believe, just barely. Yeah, he did. Just barely held on. And I think Seb was able to take that. Let's go back and see. We'll see in the results here in just a moment. But, that was, I don't know.
Back end API.
Oh, and our cameras, but right there, I think Seb may have got nipped by two riders at the line there. We'll have to wait and see what the results have to say.
Seb strongly disagrees wherever he is right now. So. Hey, Nathan, those were two awesome races. I can't believe that is not it. We've got two more coming up to enjoy as we'll be moving over to the European West. But I will say it again, Crit City Slam never disappoints. It's simple, but it's just one of my favorite places to race. Let's take a look at the results here. As it's going to be Jarland taking the win. Yarland, excuse me. Seems like a no-brainer there, as Yarland for the win, Haugen for second, Timmermans third, Larson fourth, Wolf for fifth, Knudsen sixth, Iwabuchi in seventh. What time is it in Japan right now? Now, he's not necessarily in Japan, but Pedro for eighth, Harms for ninth, and Moeller rounding out. One thing that's noteworthy, Nathan, is there's 4 Danish flags up on the board there. So go Denmark.
Stacking, not the podium.
Stacking them.
It's not.
Like
It's not
cordwood.
the. It's not the women's. Not the women's mountain bike, but still stacking things in here, as that was pretty intense. If anybody might
Something
watch
else
that overnight,
Swiss women got it going on. Swiss
And
mountains, yeah.
they were just confirming what we said last week, right?
Exactly.
The Swiss can
Oh.
all right. Jewel taking it down. It looks like that was going to be the rider that we had seen in game there, riding for the herd team, the Quokkas. Rankainen there trying to close it down, unable to do so, ends up 0.34 seconds back. Mobius there over the top of Barker, followed up by Kloss, then Denton. Poole. Taplin there hangs on for eighth. She did finish amongst that pack, so good on her for getting back in and involved in that sprint. Chamanian followed up by Buckley, who really wanted a breakaway to happen, and it looks like that's exactly why.
Yeah, you know who really stood out for me too was Karen Taplin out there, and Shamanian. It's nice to see riders making these big jumps up. Making that front group was real progression being shown by a few riders out here in our Central Europe Women's C3 group. Racing doesn't get much more fun than that. That's for sure, Nathan. Great day, and we're not done.
Not done yet. We're going to take a 5-minute break, about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and we'll be right back at you. Is the men's and women's Western Europe is going to be coming at us. Enjoy the music, and we will see you in just a few for more Crit City Slam racing out here in the Zwift Classics. And one more race to go as we are back with the Crit City Slam Western European race. It's 6:43 to the start of the men's race for 16 laps. The women's race, 7 minutes to go to the start for Western. And, you know, we've seen what I've seen has been really interesting about this new AutoCAT system that comes to my mind right now, Dave, is that there's been a lot of like serious talent amongst what is a little bit further down the ranks. But like the way that things are mixing up here isn't necessarily the way that you would always I would have expected, because we're using a different system, and I'm liking the way that things are mixing up. That's for sure is what I'm trying to get at. Is it's very interesting, making for very interesting races for who you're seeing race against each other.
Yeah, I can only imagine that for the racers themselves, this is something that they've been highly anticipating, and it's certainly, this is maybe the biggest advancement I think that I've noticed in my time around esports, of finding what we're looking for is getting people racing against the right folks. So, seems like we turned a corner to me.
Yeah, it does. It does. 6:36 to start here now, and let's go ahead and jump in though. If you're real quickly here, if you're not familiar, head on over to WTRL.racing. If you're just tuning in, you can jump in for the Crit City Slam for the rest of the day for the Americas races. Still, if you want to, you can actually jump into this race if you can get on your trainer quick enough. 6 minutes to go to the start. But we do have obviously next week the Richmond Challenge. That'll be a very interesting course. We want to check out our course preview, the Zwift Racing Knowledge over on World of Zwift for next week. That will come out on Monday. Dave, do you got another feature coming out Monday? We had the V-Win one this past Monday, which was pretty awesome to see. Very cool, hanging out in Seattle.
Yeah, and I just saw the pre-edit of our next guest, and it's Nadia Gantova. You know, the Gantova situation.
You were literally at the Gantova situation.
Oh yeah, I've met her mom even. So, but I don't know if they're planning on airing Nadia for the next World of Zwift, or if it'll be. I have a feeling though it's going to be the next one. I hope. Anyways, Nadia's a great guest. But did you get a chance to see V?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That?
Enjoyed that, and I loving the personality there. Very cool. Very, very cool.
She's all that. When you meet the people that know V and ride with her in real life, they are astounded. And with the Olympic movement happening, do we have time for me? Just 10 seconds on this?
Yeah. We got plenty of time, actually. We have a little bit of fill here. Go ahead.
I think it would be great for all of us in the Zwift community to support V in her bid to become a Vietnamese Olympian. So she's a Vietnamese national. I think that dream has been sparked, and she climbs incredibly well. We don't know what the Paris Olympic course is going to look like, but I would really encourage V to follow that dream. She's got the engine. A former pro racer, Todd Harriet, who's the guy I interviewed talking about V during, and this is all. I should note that Nathan is actually the big star of World of Zwift. I'm just sort of an additional benefit because Nathan takes you through a lot of really cool courses, and so we are lucky to both be a part of this episode. But I would say that the people that we've been meeting are a great example, Nathan, of the community that you've helped to build. And V is one of the people that I really want to support.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, if we saw an Olympian come out of
Oh, wouldn't that
the
be great?
Zwift community here specifically this way, that would be absolutely amazing to see. Um, Cycling Vietnamese. Do we have? I mean, what kind
So
of history is there? I mean, it makes me think of. It makes me think of the Bermuda rider this morning winning the triathlon.
sure, who happens to
Kind of
be
a
Flora
similar
Duffy?
situation. Yeah, Duffy took
Yeah,
that down.
Flora
So
lives in Boulder. We've known her. She's been at our local criteriums for the last 20 years. And Nathan, it's interesting because there's a Malaysian cyclist, Joshua Nig, who's gone on to do great things, but I don't know of any history for Vietnamese cycling. V would definitely be a trendsetter. She already is, without any doubt. But yeah, you know what, Nathan? I think we've learned, why not dream? Why not you? Right? There's no reason to hold yourself
well, that's
back
what every
out
one of the
there.
commercials makes you cry about, right? When you're watching the
I know.
Olympics.
It's crazy, isn't it? Um, it really is.
Um,
It's been amazing to watch the good luck and the bad luck, and how heartbreak and sheer ecstasy are just opposite sides of the same coin. Really, cycling is such a beautiful sport, and it also will break your heart more than any other sport. And I mean, if you had asked me who's going to win the Olympic gold medal in men's mountain bike racing, I would have laughed and said, of course, Matthew Van Der Poel. Right? He doesn't even finish the first lap. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
you know, bike racing and mountain biking today, you look at how the course was affected by the rain, and PVP, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, she looked like, at times, I could have mountain biked like that. Like, you see her falling off on the uphill sector. I mean, the course was just so crazy that it made even the best in the world at times really, really struggle. And then for Swiss women to go 1, 2, 3 at that level, that's mind blowing. It
It
really is.
was. It
Yolanda
really
Neff.
was. It was. Neff, I'm happy for Yolanda after having a couple of hard years too. It's been a while since she's been at the very, very top. Big injury, and something really obviously clicked. She won the test event as well on that course, which
Yeah,
is
it's
really
weird.
interesting, right? That
Yeah, and then what was crazy is 1, 2 were both Swiss women at that test event, and then she had a crash. I think that she spends a lot of time in the United States, to tell you the truth,
yeah.
and had a
Mhm.
crash in North Carolina where they talked about it during the broadcast, but it was not casual
It was a
injuries.
serious.
She was,
No, it was a serious. It
yeah,
was. It was. It was. Is she ever going to race again? Type of a crash. So the
yeah.
rehabilitation there was long and very, very difficult. It looked like, but good on her for coming back, and obviously the biggest win of her career. All right, but we're into some Zwift racing now, as we have the men out on course and taking on what is going to be 31 kilometers and 16 laps. PTZ have shown up in force out here today. We've seen a lot of Portuguese riders today, Dave,
Love it.
throwing down. So good to see, as they were a little bit strong off the front, though, it looks like. And now Bastos is going backwards. Hopefully it hangs off. I've seen this time and time again, though, where you go crazy from the get-go, and then next thing you know, you're like, what just happened? But E. Harris
Blow a gasket.
TFC, Peggy Evans, gonna start just naming some names. That Bramwell, be on the watch out for Bramwell from the AHDR team. James Eastwood is in here for Socks for Watts, the man himself. Good to see Socks for Watts showing up today.
The OG unicorn.
Yeah, it is good to see a unicorn showing up. We'll see if he can make things fly today.
Hey, is there any way, Nathan, that you could import a helicopter hovering right above me sound to give this even more authenticity? Probably not. We'll go.
No,
We'll go with what we
probably can't
have.
do that.
At
Probably
times,
can't
I
do that.
couldn't hear over the helicopter when I was watching the race. So James Eastwood here, Socks for Watts, is another man who has initiated a movement of the people. There's just when you look at WTRL, Socks for Watts really made their name there and have gone on to be a standout in the Zwift Racing League. So it's always nice to see James Eastwood out here. Clearly a class act. And Nathan, let's start doing some inventory here, as this is going to be our men's group. They're doing 31 kilometers of racing out here. This circuit that they're on is 1.9K per lap. So we're getting a good look at our first lap preview right now for the men. One rider just dangling off the front here.
Fusion Dev giving a little bit of a kick here. He's going to get brought right back in. So we have sprints on 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 out there today. 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15.
That sprint on 15, they call it the gambler's preem here in the United States, where you put a whole bunch of money on the line at 1 to go. Well, that sprint there for bonus points certainly could be the launch pad for a race-winning move out here, although we haven't seen it yet today. What we have seen, Nathan, if you want to talk about when you look at it in American racing, at least, when you go to a criterium, you can't watch the earlier morning races and really learn how the pros are going to race, because it's just a different type of racing. But in this case, we could learn a lot from what we've seen out here, because the level is high all day long. We've already raced in European East and Central, so here we are with the European West group. This is our C3 field that we've got. And Nathan, one thing I would tell all of these men and women out racing as well would be, there will be splits. Believe me, positioning is the most important thing out here. If you find yourself falling further than 25 riders back and you came here to win a bike race today, you got to start moving up. And it's not a false alarm. There will be splits. Sounds like a movie coming out of Hollywood, right? There will be blood. There will be splits.
There will be splits. There will be splits.
Would you agree with that,
especially with a large group like this? Depending on how they ride, I mean, there is that reality as well. But they're most definitely, I think, with the aggression we'll most likely see in this crew.
Well, now that I've said it, the whole group stays together for the whole day,
right? One thing you were saying about the reality of racing out here, I think in crits and the way that you have to race these races. I think the riders here are gonna kind of be watching these, watching each other for each one of these sprint preems. Though I think those moments are going to be really, really crucial. You said the gamblers, that gamblers lap, is that what you called it there?
Yeah, the one to go.
The one to go.
Laps.
I had a question there, because I've been in amongst the riders and racing with them, and then seeing we've got, I've been trying to get position. I'm okay, good. I'm in the top 15, the top 10, coming into one lap to go. That's exactly because you have to fight so hard to get there. And then,
no kidding.
and then they go $2,000 to the. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, are you? And what is the feeling usually? Is what I'm wondering that you've heard, because I've heard people be like, "Are you like?" They really dislike it. They really, really dislike it.
I dislike it. I absolutely dislike it. I like so, but Nathan, you know me, right? I mean, I had to adapt and learn to appreciate some things about esports, which I genuinely have, but it's not exactly the same. But for me, I like it old school and pure, right? I'm a boomer, as they say. I heard that the other day. But in that element, I don't like seeing that gambler's preem, because it disrupts the natural flow of the race. So I think you and I are 100% on the same page. I would rather, and a lot of officials and people who've been experienced in going to American criteriums will tell you, and I say American criteriums because I don't have experience in Australia or England, and a kermesse is a little bit different in Belgium. But that being said, Nathan, anything inside of 5 laps to go I'm not a fan.
It completely disrupts things, doesn't it? And next thing you know, like we did it. They did it in the Heartland, my hometown, Heartland. It was like a big preem with 1 to go, and I was like, well, this is over. It causes
crashes. It causes more crashes as well. my opinion. So
it
I
does
don't.
it does set things up well though if somebody wants to make some money, because a lot of times those who are going for the win aren't going to go for the sprint, right? So
Yeah, it's
there is
interesting.
that.
I
There
completely
is
agree
that.
with that. Understanding what you're saying, I don't like the finale of a bike race to be a transactional experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Davey's here.
We're on the
Is
same
that going to
page,
be
Nathan.
donuts? This is Davies has got the donuts. Here we go, AHDR on the front, but I don't think this is where you get the donuts at the front coming into this last little bit here. Now,
Donuts at the
Alfonso.
back. Donuts at the back, pain at the front, I think. So I did. So again, Nathan, you got me on that one. There is no L in Alfonso. I was wrong the other day. I meant to correct myself there. That's our man BJ out there, but they're stringing this out. Nathan, this is some very aggressive racing that we're looking at right now. No question.
BCRT. Davies, though, I was wrong. Is he going to hold on for the donuts? No, it's going to be Oxley just getting them, but with less watts per kilogram, actually, than it
I'll
was
give him a long
E.
john, though, for that. He's up there.
Who is on the front here? Shields is on the front. And what I want to know
This is where.
is
So,
what is
Nathan,
this-
right here, if you're up with these guys, you can afford right now to just take some inventory and look around. The guys at the back are really concerned about little splits that are opening up. You can see that this is where the positioning makes a huge difference because you're not burning a match. See the split right there coming around the corner? Well, these are some riders. Now, it does come back together, but that's not a whole lot of fun back there. The guy's sitting up in the blob. You can see how it does look like a boa constrictor swallowing a bowling ball here, right? There's that big lump. That lump is where you want to be.
A boa constrictor swallowing a bowling ball. That is definitely going to be...
Instead of a pig, I feel like saying a pig is too mean. I like bowling ball.
Bowling, no. Well, I mean, that's what everyone was thinking is why didn't you say pig? I mean, of course. Nellis now from CFC. A little bit of kick from him to get back on terms. We're seeing orange numbers here. Lots of power outs being thrown early on. You're going to start seeing a lot more reservation around those later on. Everybody's using their power ups. Now, when you see the arrows, it's interesting enough. That is a little bit more risky. A lot of these riders are going to be looking for arrow power ups, and that's why they are using these power ups the way that they are. This early on, once they do hit that lucky number, they will stop rolling the dice, a lot of them, unless they're looking to go on the attack or they just don't really care and just looking for a risk. On the front now, it does look like it is going to be R3R with Wilkinson again. Now, Bordarias and R3R Dev there with Martin continuing on 400 watts here coming from the Welshman now as Wilkinson sits on the wheel and R3R are in control at the front.
Boy, are they. And this is where you talked about this in the previous race, Nathan, and it makes a lot of sense, is to impact the ultimate outcome of the race. How does a team do it? And in this case, watch R3R as they looking to put on a clinic for us here. I saw that name Pedersen there with the Danish flag. Obviously, Pedersen is like Smith in America or Jones, right? I'm sure everyone has a Pedersen living on their block, but that is one of the names in the Premier League that puts fear down the spines of other riders. As we take a look at this group, Nathan, much smaller than what we started with, and we're only 8.2K in. So I would say R3R has had a major impact up to this point. P to Z as well, pushing the tempo up on the front out here.
Want to quickly jump over to the women's race, but it's a little bit scattered out here today with the women's race on the western side of things. The not quite as many riders out here, and Rogan is just gone off the front here. Walsh looking to try and shut things down. She did have a little bit of sprint with Alice from the Drafty Bees, so they may be working together to pull Rogan back in. Drafty Bees here, 3.8, 3.1, 45 kilometers per hour. They do have a chaser there with Sutcliffe, Homer from the Rhinos here, but I mean, this is just spread out all over the course here. I mean, this is almost a solo TT, maybe a couple of riders here hanging out together. Alice, I think, along with Walsh, could make something happen, but they need to work together. But it doesn't look like Alice is very interested in working together. I think she just wants to hold off for a second place solo.
You know what happens, I think, for the most part, is these women are all looking for the best competition. And usually one of the races becomes the hot spot for this European division. And I think that was European Central, but also remembering that everybody's got their own schedule depending where you are in the world. And some of these women signed up for this race, and this is the race that they can do. So, but it is decidedly different, isn't it, than what we saw from the Central Group just a few minutes ago.
Broken off the front. This is going to be.
But you know what? You get what I'm saying. I think the women look and they see that where most of the women racing, and I'll jump in with that group, if that makes sense, is they have flexibility between the, over the course of 2 hours, you have 3 different high-level races that you can do here with the Zwift Classics.
Joanna Rogan, RWBSH, is the team that she's riding for. She's got level 27. Not a lot of racing from, well, she's got some racing in here, but the watts per kilogram I'm seeing are definitely not. Oh, interesting to see here. RWB, though, if you are from the island of Ireland, north, south, east, or west, or have Irish roots, you are welcome to join. It says for RWB, they do have their own. It is Racing Without Borders. They have their own Facebook group. Head over there to Facebook.com. So that's RWB Cycling. I've seen them show up this past year and make a little bit of a
fascinating.
Splash.
Yeah, so I always wondered what that was. And so what she's saying is, so Ireland has that classic 26-32 county thing where the Northern Ireland counties, and in some ways, like in Olympic sports, I don't know if it's true now, but it was true for a long time where even though Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, the Northern Irish athletes, like if you lived in Belfast, you would compete with Ireland. Very, very unique situation there.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. But I know that's true because I was around it. That's a fact. I don't know that that's true for today. However, things might have changed. But obviously they call it the Troubles. What went on between Ireland and Northern Ireland, and you hear about the IRA, and things have gotten so much better there, and that without borders, it's really, really important to look at your history when you think about the future. You have to look at how you got where you are, and that team name really has an impact on me. I think that's incredibly cool, and I hope that we see more from them. I know that we will.
A little bit of a 2-second gap here coming from Wilkinson. He's going to let things come back together, though. I thought perhaps he was going to be throwing off the front.
Well,
not
is this a test attack,
here.
Nathan? Just to see if anybody wants to go with me?
If anybody wants to go.
Nope.
I mean, this is going to be a sprint here we're coming into. This is going to be the second one on the day, I believe. So
keeps the speed high,
Yeah,
but
3-6 is going to be the 6, lap number 6 sprint now. And TFC with Nellis. Watch out for Ned Bowen. He's in one of the standout kits and always a rider that's got a solid kick. I've gone to the line with him before. And Ooms is in here as well. Don't count out Wesley Ooms. DePaul now from VCRT now up in 11 watts per kilogram. We do have an HDR rider early. Maybe a little too early, though. DePaul trying to hang on. He might do so. Nope. Here we go. It looks like... Oh, he did it! HDR, I think, did it. I thought he was going to get caught. And I get the feeling they're keeping a couple of matches for later in the race is what it looks like to me. I get the feeling there that there's riders that got a solid 14 that they're like, not right now. We don't need to put that down right now. DePaul going backwards quickly, though, that would look like a fairly all-in effort from him.
Save it for later, as the English beats say. You're going to want it for later. This race has a little bit of a different rhythm than what we've seen earlier. Coming right into the midpoint here, huge group still together. I don't think we've mentioned the power-up situation, but you get a good feel for the full array that are available out here. Arrow at 40% today. Steamroller, same thing, 40%. And then 20% of the time you're getting a Ghost, the invisibility. There it is right on the front now.
And
now you see me, now you don't.
Pig Evans actually is a lap rider. Excuse me. They're Cardiff Ajax here now. Getting caught after a little bit of a kick off the front, it looks like. Fonzo now going. Is that going to be Mike Schwartz? No, it's not Mike Schwartz. It's actually E. Schwartz. Excuse me. Sorry.
And that might not be BJ Afonso. Am I seeing that correctly as F. Afonso?
Yeah, BJ right? Not racing amongst the C3. I think he'd be a little bit lower in the category numbers. but maybe a relation, maybe not. As we come through into our 13 kilometer, 16 minutes into the racing here at 46 kilometers per hour. Everything calming right on down. I do
Interesting.
think you're right that these riders are a little bit more cagey. They're a little bit more reserving their efforts for when they want to go for these sprints. I thought that was Wesley Ooms. It's actually Oomen, excuse me, for CLS here, coming out of the Netherlands. As we do have Swart now taking over the front there out of South Africa for the dirt team. Bastos.
This Swart. I was wondering if that was so Swart, another name with worldwide reach.
Nick Nellis from TFC, one of the organizers, being funny here. He's got a good kick on him. Nellis, watch out for him in the final if he can hang on all the way to the end. As Bowen's on the back here, I think he's a sniper, just sitting in 142.
Tail gunning now.
Big time tail gunning.
And at this point now, you don't get the feeling that it's as dangerous to do that as you did in previous races. At least I don't. This wouldn't. Seems like a astute tactical maneuver, actually. At this point now, just kind of chill out at the back, not too worried about things splitting. I'd agree.
He rides for Cardiac Athlete in Zwift Power. He's a former Ultimate player, Power and Cadence and Power 2 Max. It looks like so. He's got some verification. He's got a weigh-in as well. Zwift Classics.
You just say Ultimate. You just say Ultimate like everybody would know what that is.
I don't know what that is. No, it's Ultimate Frisbee. Ultimate Frisbee player, everybody. So, in the US of A, in college specifically, they have it's a pretty big thing here in the US.
Yeah.
And so it's
I wonder,
essentially
do they play
Frisbee.
it in Europe? You see people in Europe?
No contact, but similar to football with no contact in a Frisbee in some ways.
Frisbee soccer.
Yeah. Frisbee soccer, yeah. I mean, you can't run when you have the Frisbee, but there's all kinds of running going on when you don't have the Frisbee. So
I will say this, it's the kind of sport that you could probably play while enjoying a beer, which makes it into not quite the same level, I think, as well, that's not fair. They play it very competitively. I
remember, so I played some Ultimate like late high school. And a little bit into like freshman year of college, and
it's a lot of running.
It's a lot like the guys, but the seriousness, it depends on who shows up, because yes, there are the party kids who show up for it, but if the real athletes show up for it, we just smoke everybody, like, because they're out. Okay, you want to
run
drink,
them into the
you
ground.
can lose. You can drink, but you're gonna lose.
Yeah, heck yeah. And if you're fit, you can just keep running, and eventually the unfit people, you'll break them for sure.
A lot of fun. It was always lots of fun though, because it was always this like, it's all about Hail Marys a lot of times. Running down the Hail Marys, and think of a Frisbee flying forever, and you've got 2 or 3 guys trying to run it down. I mean, that was always a good time. So
it reminds me of being a kid and playing until the sun went down in the park with your friends, until you were so exhausted that all you could do is limp home and drink orange juice.
That's exactly what it was like. Exactly. So, all right, so
let's take a look at the front.
Racing down. 20 minutes of racing, it looks like. Nellis now heading toward the front from TFC, it looks like, trying to take over.
Well, it's stringing out, Nathan. This really tells me they're applying some pressure out here now.
A little bit, it looks like. And through the section of course that I would do exactly that. I'm trying to get an idea of who's making this happen, though, as there is a rider off the front a little bit, but I'm not sure if that's a lapped rider or not. It looks like
I think that's a leader. Yeah, at this point, by holding them off this long, that almost tells me it has to be someone who's coming out of this front group, not a lapped rider.
As Innovation now takes that back in, and now the dirt rider that was off the front going backwards very quickly. Bodaris now. It looks like the Frenchman now going to take on over again. Afonso on the front. It looks like the PTZ rider. And now WLC making a little bit of a move. It's going to be Bergenski. That's a rider to watch out for. A familiar name. Barry now from WLC as well. Bramwell, Pedersen. And things are starting to ramp up a little bit as we get into this 17K sprint in just a moment here. Barry, Provision with Noble. Watch out for them. New kids on the block amongst the esports world. They've got some good organization going on. We'll see if they can show up and put it into results. As Martin from R3R now sits in at about third or fourth wheel, 2.8 watts per kilogram. He's going to be going backwards pretty quick with those kind of numbers, though. Now on the front, Oxley, Edmondson. Here, Bailey, Cardiff Ajax, PTZ. Again, finding themselves not quite where you want to be. I mean, it's okay if you don't fade too much. A lot of times, though, right through here, you'll see, right, look at that acceleration that comes through. I love watching the Trons, those who are on the Trons, who know how to feather, and their bike glows and goes off, glows and goes off, glows and goes off. Here comes the sprint. It's opened up a little bit, very early aero power-ups. Those are way too early from a few of those riders. Battle the way back in the 27th that we were looking at there. Pedersen, though, coming through 9.5 watts per kilogram. Oxley from WLC trying to make it happen, it looks like. Not going to happen, though, from Oxley. It's really over the top. Woo!
Those were all proactive aero power-ups, Nathan. Guys using them just to stay in that group, knowing that this surge was coming, I would say. See how this goes completely single file on the front here. This is a tough moment.
Yeah, and, the way that speed
gaps.
built up through there, I do think some gaps did open up. And you can see some riders are
here they are.
back here. And are they going to continue on, though? It's still about 12K. A little over 12K, so they got, quite a few laps still yet to go, 6 or so.
Odds are good that everybody comes back, but it's not a fun experience. It looks like everyone is just shuffling right back up into the group here, though.
Glasgow,
but that's not a good 30 seconds there.
No, it's not. And this may be a section where we do pop 3 or 4 riders, especially these 3 or 4 riders right here who are just doing everything they can. 5 watts per kilogram. You're seeing here 176 beats per minute. Jet now off the back, as you can see, not going to hang on. This LaGrange rider using that power up very early, which tells me he was struggling to even touch the keyboard as he gets back on terms. Now, I'm going to watch this and see if he actually hangs on here, because the rider in front of him, McName, is also struggling. Up and out of the saddle, 5.2.
Nice. Yeah, using that steamroller there, helping to just smooth out those cobbles, and well played. Looks like we're going to get back into the group here. Wouldn't be bad if these other riders would fill in the gaps for you, but they're not, so do it yourself. There you go.
Wow.
Battle never really ends. It would have been a lot nicer if those guys would have filled in those gaps, huh?
Well, he's filling in the gaps of time is what's happening here. Just filling the gap with lots of time as 3 seconds goes away. McName, we saw he was struggling a little bit over the top. LaGrange recognized that, came through. Glasgow steady here. Now look at this, though. This is why being on the back is tough, because these gaps open up, right?
Yeah, we were talking about tail gunning. Right, tail gunning is no longer advisable, that's for sure, is you're going to want to get up into the meat and potatoes of that peloton here, because you can see there's at least a dozen riders here at the back of the group that are really going to have to fight to stay up and stay relevant in this race. As we come through again, we've got a few sprints left before our finale here, as these bonus sprints have had a massive impact on where we're at now. That's the finishing arch. We'll be back through there a few more times. This race has really flipped a switch, Nathan. It went from relatively calm to pretty frenetic out there as they come up on 20K in.
20K in, it's a 31K race, so we're talking 6 to go here out on course. Here's Bullen there from the Dirt Dads makes his way backwards. Again, TFC, lots of control from the TFC riders out here today, it feels like. Edmondson there from RWB, also they've got numbers. Watch out for RWB. I feel like they've got some numbers out here today.
Yeah, can you use those numbers to your advantage? The answer is yeah, but the way you do it is with aggressive racing, that's for sure, putting some guys on the front and trying to set up your sprinter for later, because it really does, basically, that last couple of laps turn into you either have it or you don't.
Fusion Development have showed up with 4 riders out here today. Oxen, Pedersen, Kroll, and Pedersen. So Casper Joel Pedersen, Morten Dole Pedersen. So it looks like a couple of brothers, I would assume. Christian Cole, and then Thorben Oxen. So that's the Fusion Dev team. 1 German rider and 3 Danish riders. Be on the watch out for them, as I have a feeling they are here working very well together. They tend to be an esports team that communicate. They'll be on Discord. They show up no joke. A lot of times they take their development super seriously. That's why they take their whole team super seriously. Hence, they have a Fusion development team on top of their Fusion Elite esports team. So a little bit of a kick off the front with them. Oxen along with Harris. This is a good move. Harris, very strong rider. He's got Watts all day long. Raced against him many a times. I believe in the KISS 100 as well. So they've got a gap. But Oxen, at 4-4, it's not a whole lot of continuance. You need something more into the 5 to 6s here at this point. Using that steamroller, not going to do much. He's just using it to try and get rid of it at this point. And I think the pack know they're coming back. They're not even pushing at the front now.
I agree, Nathan. You can really feel that at this point now, they blunted the desire for anyone to want to try to attack off of the front to make a breakaway stick, as he's shown just so much resiliency back in the peloton here. These guys going to dangle off the front, though. TFC, Friday Criterium here, certainly having an impact on the race. I think just jettisoning the power-ups that you have right now, hoping for something a little bit better as we come through and reload.
Now with this gap, I want to speak to this right here. There was an opportunity for a moment there for them to, at 4-5, if they weren't really up and over the top, to attack through that banner and then hold some speed and power into this 1% uphill. I haven't really seen anybody really take that, because they did let them dangle a little too long. The pack allowed them to sit out there a little bit too long. That there was an opportunity there for a moment. They didn't actually take advantage of it, because right here, a lot of times the pack that's chasing you down, if they think you're coming back, they'll go down to 45, 44. If you attack through this 2% uphill gradient and get your speeds up to 48 to 50 and then through this little downhill, a lot of times you can open up some serious time on one lap, but we haven't really seen anybody able to take advantage of that.
My thought really on trying to win out of a breakaway is more, Nathan, having impeccable timing, and the break that you need to catch is, it seems like that attack happens in the last lap, and what you're looking for is that moment where everybody looks at each other to chase, and you get that half second and being able to hold on as they're just going to be on your rear wheel as you come across the finish line. It's that small of a margin that you've got to work with out there. I just don't see any 3 to go, 4 to go attacks, talking about laps to go, having a chance to stick with the momentum and just the way the game plays here in esports with Zwift. This peloton has such a massive advantage when they're traveling at this speed on this course. Solo rider, 2 riders, just really, really tough. You're looking for a break. You got to catch that break where they decide they're not going to chase for a moment. That hesitation is your only chance.
I think we may be coming into our next sprint section here in just a moment. Schwartz, Wilkinson, Harris looking to set up. We saw a little bit of attack from him, trying to maybe make something happen. Nothing was able to go. Martin now takes over at the front now, as it is going to be R3R.
This is the 12-lap sprint, right?
I believe we're coming into a 12-lap sprint, as it's going to be 4 to go in just a moment. And here we go. Harris opening things up. And who's going to take over at the front? It's going to be Breely, perhaps again, going to be able to time this. Bourdon going to hang on. No, Breely again. This guy is unstoppable. Watch out for him. Watch out for him in the final, because that was just easy almost. That was hardly even made him break a sweat. It looked like the way that went down.
Yeah, I mean, when you see he's breathing through his nose as he comes through there, as they say, it's going to regroup here on the front after that surge. But absolutely right. Breely looks like he's the man to watch here for the finale. That was quite impressive.
Yeah, and he's done that time and again now, it seems like. Stephen Breely, no pins, R3R. He's got a solid, only a 12.1, though. So perhaps everybody's kind of sleeping a little bit here, waiting for the final sprint, or his timing is just that impeccable when it comes to these sprints out here today. So a little bit of separation happening. Got to stay on top of it. It can get pretty frustrating at some of these moments if somebody lets these go. And you start kind of looking at each other, saying, well, you do it. And you trust too much. And then next thing you know, there's a gap that's opened up in front of you.
That's why breakaways work.
Shut down. Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's one of the key ingredients. So courage and a little bit of luck. That's the yeast in the bread that makes a breakaway rise, because they have to underestimate you. Because, I mean, at this level, smash mouth bike racing where you're just going to go to the front and do it with pure strength, almost always they've got the ability to gang up and overcome one strong rider as a group. That's why bike racing is so complex, and there's so many metrics to look at. R3R, again, all over the front out here today, along with Fusion Dev. Nathan, I want to go back to your point. I think you really know, we were talking about James Eastwood and the Sox for Watts team, you really know your team has arrived when you have a need for a development team. That tells me that you are all in.
Got a lot of people wanting to be on the team if you're looking for a development.
Exactly.
And also a lot of good support
select.
too. I mean, that takes a lot of organization. It's not, you don't just, oh, here's our development team and nothing,
Right. What are you developing for? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
It takes a lot of organization. It takes a lot of figuring out who's who, and it's always really cool to see when people put that kind of effort in. Again, R3R for the front. I'd be watching out for R3R for the win today. They've got the bodies. I wouldn't be surprised. They've got the numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if they send one or two off the front later in this race. TFC as well, probably. They're very familiar with each other. It's two of the longest standing teams in Zwift racing. TFC, the Friday Criterium. R3R, one of the longest standing teams as well. Started out very early on under a couple of different names, World Bicycle Relief, prior to, different charities that have been around that. Now it's the R3R team. But, these two, they know each other. And they're going to know the names. They're going to know who they're up against. And I have a feeling more of the new also PTZ, another one that's just about as good as older and standing. Newer kids on the block are going to be. What's funny? When I'm talking about how old school those teams are, I'm looking at some of these names like Dirt. Dirt is actually a newer kids on the block team comparatively to those teams. That's how far
crazy.
back that we're talking, right? And then we have teams like WLC and Provision who are infants in their Zwift racing and really just getting going in some ways, but really definitely. I mean, WLC, I shouldn't say, but they've obviously participated at some top end events, but in comparative there, these that really are going to know each other and have been around the racing scene a long time are going to be that TFC and R3R here in amongst the pack.
You can make some big moves in esports in a short amount of time, but consistency and being around built to last teams, those are the most impressive, aren't they? There's no doubt. Well, both are impressive, to tell you the truth, because you never know. A team like Aeonian in the women's side of things, relatively new team, but they're built to last. Aeonian will be around for the long haul, that's for sure. Very active on the front here, Nathan. No wiggle room left, down to just a couple laps of racing remaining here.
Yep, and getting a little bit of comments coming on through here. Always great to see the comments section. And cheering on Harris. What a legend. 55-year-old and bringing it out here today. E. Harris, always one super, super strong rider, and that is going to be the TFC rider. Been racing with him for many years. Nick Nellis, a little bit of a conversation there about disappearing in the blob. Interesting enough.
Big fan of the ghost.
That seems to be what he's chatting about here.
Afonso, one of the Portuguese riders that you were talking about, Nathan, up near the front here. Positioning now really starts to matter, as we do have that, we'll call it the gambler sprint, that one to go sprint. Team PTZ always getting support out there. And Fuego.
We have Mr. Brolial Afonso. That's BJ Afonso hanging out in the chat. The
love BJ,
organizer and the man behind Team PTZ early on. Always a hard worker amongst the organization of things in Zwift esports. Bailey to the front, it looks like, but calming down, just controlling the race. It's just making sure
they all know it's going
to. It's pretty calm at this point.
Yeah, so you have to brace yourself. The odds are pretty good that there will be an attack, but you look around and you say, I'm in the right group if I'm sitting here with these guys, because there's a 98% chance this group sprints for the win here. Those are the odds you like to hear.
100%. I think amongst these here, it's small enough you could try and give it a go.
Someone will. As a matter of fact, there you go. I think that might be your man, R3R here.
Still a lap and a half
just
to
positioning.
Go. Lap and a half to go here. So
West.
E. Schwart now from Dirt using that steamroller. Looking for an why are they using arrows so early, though? Kino going from the ART. You got to go now, though, if you're going to go. We can't be messing around. And this is an interesting time to be using those arrow power-ups because you really need them at the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the difference with the group this large. It's going to be your Zwift craft is going to be huge for this finale.
Harris sitting second wheel, 2.6 watts per kilogram. Watch out for that. Bramwell, another rider we've been talking about a lot. There's a little bit of a ghost power up now coming from, or a lot of one here coming from Alfonso. PTZ on the front, 186 beats per minute though.
He's just getting rid of that for sure. If you're ghosting when you're on the very front, I don't think you're fooling anybody. But what you do want to do is get a new power up.
Here we go for those points. This is the final go. It's the gambler sprint that we talked about there. RB, perhaps from Aero CT, going to come on through for it and be the big risker. No, it's actually Barry, excuse me, off the front there. Owen now, are they going to counter is the question. Breeley there, Shields. Will they have any continuance? Are they going to just watch each other and sit up? That's the big question now. And the ghost power up.
Look at Brierly, though. Yeah, the rider, no pins, R3R rider, Brierly looks so comfortable. The blue jersey, they're right in the middle of this group. I have to say, that's the man I'd be putting my money on in Vegas.
Yeah, it looked like he wasn't really that interested in that sprint other than being where he needed to be now calming right on down and reserving some energy.
He did just enough. He did just enough, Nathan. So that sprint wasn't going to win the bike race for you. He made sure that he was in the group where he did the minimum amount of burn time, right? That was very well played. He should be fresh for the sprint.
Gasped here off the front, not where he's trying. This is like a last-ditch effort, but the speed just is not there. 4.9, and they're just going to bring him right back in. He's been doing 5 watts per kilogram on the front here for almost no gain, and this is going to be a tough one now to the line for Casp here for the Casp riders. Jay Amy now up and over the top. Here comes Bailey now.
Purple.
Bailey now. Cardiff, Ajax now. Where is the no pins R3R? Martin is here. Breeley is here. Be on the watch out for him. Will he take the win? That's a good prediction there, Dave. Who do you think to the line? Breeley, Dave, or is it be Bowen? Bowen's been sitting well.
Well, I'm all in on Breeley right now, and again, I'm going to continue to stay all in as the positioning becomes critical at this point. We're down to it here. Okay, folks, we are locked and loaded. This is not a drill. Big time sprinting is back here in Crit City. The Crit City Slam has come down to this, Nathan. They're going to be galloping at this point. You can see riders trying to hold on to the positioning that they've earned, because here we go, dropping down into...
Look at where Ned Bowen is here, Dave. Perfectly positioned, 1.3 watts per kilogram. This guy's got a solid almost 16. Is he got the right power up though? He's not going right just yet, and he's timing this almost to perfection. But Breeley's gonna be the man he's watching out for. Here it comes, 11 watts per kilogram, 13 watts per kilogram. Where's Breeley? Breeley, Bowen to the line. They're neck and neck. It's gonna be Breeley at 11.3, but Bowen's holding on. Bowen to the line. It looks like with Wild on his tail. Oh my goodness, it was there.
Wow. What a finish,
amazing job there from Ned Bowen. And he was so quiet the whole race.
Perfectly done. That's how you do it. Just kind of lay low. Nothing to see here until the last moment when he hits hard, pulverizing the finish here in Crit City. That was well earned out of a strong group. So the American Bowen taking it Wild out of the United Kingdom for the silver.
Yeah, and Wild, that was not a name that Lee Wild for Z-Sun Saturn.
Well, now on my radar. Officially on my radar.
Vision, though, is now in his name as well here. So must have just gotten picked up recently. So interesting to see. And I just want to quickly, let's go ahead and see if we can jump in here and get a look at how this played out. And then we'll jump on over to the women. But, I mean, Bowen, look at where he's sitting. I mean, what is that? 6th wheel? And you can watch, I'm going to go back a little bit here and watch how he makes sure over and over again, just enough to stay in that sweet spot, but not too much. Very well played. 3.2, even down to 1.8, little bit of a kick there. 3.8, 5.0. I mean, exactly where it needs to be. The power ups start going.
Yep.
And then 3% down, boom, there it is. Right there. Gives the kick and the 3% downhill gradient. Round the corner at 15. He's already got the gap. And the race is over. I mean, that's it right there.
Impressive job by Wild here as well. As you can see, that's the kind of ride that will turn some heads.
100%.
And Lowe coming through here, it looks like is we'll go to the results in just a moment for you here and take a look at our entire top 10. But what a finale for the guys out here today.
Absolutely. Amazing race there for the guys. We're going to jump in with the ladies. We do have an off the front situation here, as it is going to be Jay Rogan. Alice there, it looks like 1 minute back with Homer right on her wheel. So it's going to be 3 finishers, it looks like, out here today. We'll follow along for are they going into their final lap? I think they're into their final lap here. Yeah, 1 to go. So we can follow along as Rogan's going to take this down. 3.2 watts per kilogram coming from her as Dave, that look on your face is like, Nathan, you're actually not following along right now.
I'm like, let's do it.
That was great. That was
because all
really
I'm looking at, Nathan, is myself, right? And I don't want to.
What a ride by Rogan, though. Here, hey.
Yeah. Well, again, you can only deal with the competition that's served up to you, and this Irish woman has crushed Crit City out here today, riding without borders. She's flying.
Yeah, amazing ride here. Really amazing.
Ireland and Australia are my 2 nations that I don't live in that I always root for in the Olympics. So this always makes me happy to see an Irish rider doing well.
Riders Without Borders being chased by the Drafty Bees. This will be the fight for the podium, as you can see. Pam out here for the Live by Cycling 63. Faster After 50 crew. Good to see them out here hammering today.
Oh, wow.
Always great to see him. We've got some rave. And actually, what was funny, I was jumping in with some of our streamers out here, and somebody I want to shout out who's been doing an amazing job with her stream over on Twitch. She's been doing the Alp the Zwift like almost every day. Debbie in Shape is the username over on twitch.tv. Go check it out. And she actually said specifically, she was like, I just show up for the rave music. That's what she actually said. She said, I just show up because whenever the rave music comes on, it's time to dance. This is essentially what she was saying.
That's awesome.
Absolutely loving it. And, we appreciate all the kind words, and also really appreciate all of the work that the streamers are putting in out there. So as we do have a rave out on course here, we'll
there it is.
Throw that on with Colby. Debbie's actually in chat right now. She's here for the rave. Good to see you, Debbie. And bringing it to the line here. Nice job for her. The Drafty Bees here, last little kicks are happening. This is going to be the win right now, though, for Jay Rogan. 3.8 watts per kilogram. Nice job, Rogan.
Smooth like peanut butter coming across the line. Good job. As this one, we've got riders all over the shop, left, right, and center right now. So we'll bring them on a home like Drafty Bees and Alice here. Looking good.
Yeah, and it looks like she was able to drop Homer off pretty easily there. Hey, Homer from the Rhinos. So that'll be the situation for second and third across the line. Still a little bit of a chase coming from Hesselkus here. We did see this is going to be for 4th, 5th, and 6th place. And I actually saw some cheering for Hesselkus, I believe, in the...
I want to get a better look
Bermuda.
at the flag.
Is that Bermuda? That's Bermuda, I believe.
Yeah.
I saw that this morning with Duffy. I'm almost positive that that's going to be Bermuda.
First ever Olympic gold medal. You know who else is spent time in Bermuda is Jamie Lee Wright, one of the Aeonian riders.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you know that
Sheila's Guernsey but she lived in Bermuda for a while.
You know, Hasselkuss, if that is the Bermuda flag, I'm hopefully I got that right. But if that is, she definitely was cheering on. Well, a gold medal.
Okay. This is, you know what? That's the final straw for me, to tell you the truth. I'm going on Amazon and I'm buying one of those posters that has every flag in the world on it. I'm just going to put it up on the wall behind. Do you?
I have one. It is Bermuda. It is Bermuda. I got it right. It was Bermuda.
Good job. But you know what? Every time I get it wrong, I feel terrible. So
actually, we were speaking about R3R. and their original charity that they were supporting early
World
on.
Bicycle Relief.
No, right? it was oh, come on, Nathan. Very early on, it was another that country that was, I can't remember what was going on.
I'm trying to think
exactly what was going on there, but it was not to do with bicycles. Actually, it was about helping rule.
Was it Haiti? Maybe Haiti.
We're talking
they had
more
the big
Tibetan.
earthquake.
It was like Tibetan or something.
Oh, okay.
Those areas. And anyways, they actually bought me one of those and sent it to me in the mail. Not kidding. Because I got things wrong.
This is how we can help you help
often.
us.
Yes, yeah. I got it wrong so often early on. I learned a lot of flags. Now the smaller, really small countries like these island ones, they're the ones that there's so many of them. I mean, it's.
I would use for an example, like, for those of you out there laughing at us, I would say, then you tell me what the Guernsey flag looks like, right?
Somebody from Guernsey holds it up to the camera like this,
like
buddy.
This.
Like this, buddy. Come on. Let's take a look at the results here real quick, as that was the Western Europe. Crit City's always so much fun. Always lots of action. Loving the
It sure is.
Loving the way that this one played out for us today. As we jump on in, Ned Bowen, the timing was perfect. Wild comes across the line there, just behind him, 0.13 seconds. It's going to be Elo 4. Third, Breeley, your man, he faded back to fourth. It was a lot of sprints early on. I think he probably burned a couple of matches there, Dave. Getting all those points there. West there for fifth. It's going to be Edmonton sixth. Webborn in seventh. Shields in eighth. Bramwell in ninth. And Kay Pedersen from Fusion Dev taking down that 10th spot.
That's the men. Let's see how the women sorted things out. It was Rogan on top of the table there. Well earned. 3.3 watts per kilogram for 43 minutes. That's legit. Congratulations, go Ireland. Grindheim is our Norwegian for silver. And out of the United Kingdom, Homer takes the bronze. Haskus for the Bermudan. Nice job, Nathan, in fourth. That flag looks familiar. The American Colby, followed by Walsh in sixth. And then Morris rounding things out for, you ready, Nathan? I got it. That's going to be New Zealand.
Nice job there, Dave. Nice job. Pat on the back for Dave. He got New Zealand right. I wonder if they have.
We have a colleagues.
They've got
two of my favorite colleagues, and yours as well, Nathan. Anna from New Zealand and Kate from Australia have made it more than clear that I'm sure you and I will never forget which one is New Zealand and which one is Australia.
Of course. Hey, Ned Bowen says, thanks, Dave and Nathan. He's hanging out in the chat. Always great to see.
Good job, Ned.
Great job out there, as well as BJ Alfonso and the rest. Good to see all the Twitch viewers saying hello. Lots of emojis coming on through, as well as over on Facebook. Looks like Charlie Ryan and Harry Stevenson really getting involved. Eric Robertson had a question. I can't find this one in the companion app. Sign up for any of these races over at WTRL.racing. If you did not know, WTRL is the place for premier racing out on Zwift. And so a lot of the signups do happen through WTRL for their race series. So anytime that WTRL are organizing something, a lot of times now at this point, you have to head to their website in order to get involved. Sign up with WTRL, Premier Racing, great organization, an amazing partner with both Zwift Community Live and Zwift. So Martin does an amazing job over there to keep things rolling. August 3rd, Richmond Challenge next week. Get on over to the website, sign up, and we will be here covering the New Zealand as well as European. Myself and Dave, Kate, and Anna will be on the New Zealand stream in the early times of the morning. And next up, we've got the WTRL TTT on Astoria Line 8. We are back in New York for kind of a punchier.
119, right? Isn't 119th consecutive WTRL? I did want to add, with the Olympics on, Nathan, Martin, who is absolutely unbelievable, without a doubt one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Do not bother him when the rugby is on. I'm telling you, that guy loves his rugby. So
I've been watching.
You won't hear back from him.
And I don't know if you saw, but I don't know how you felt about last night, Dave. But
about the women's
Ireland
mountain bike race.
Ireland got beat by the US of A in rugby. I mean, I don't know if you didn't pick that up too.
I was not happy.
2 points. It was 2 points. My daughter started playing rugby this past year and a half, and so she's got really. She's like, Dad, what's the score? Because she doesn't have the Olympics at her house. She'll come over and whatever at her mom's house. She doesn't have the Olympics, and so it's a lot of fun.
She comes over and wants to know what's going on.
Yeah, and we're messaging, and I was like, the USA, they're up by 7, and I'm getting into and I'm watching rugby, getting into it. Actually, I'm like, this is cool. I'm actually really enjoying. I mean, anyways, now I was into it because of Asa, but now Asa's got me into it, and it's kind of like. Anyways, yeah, it's an interesting sport, that's for sure, the way it plays out. So Martin's probably like rolling his eyes at me right now. Martin, professional rugby player. If anybody didn't know, WTRL comes from its roots, its competitive roots. Where those are coming from? Well, no more competitive than Martin Carew, that's for sure. That guy is top-notch rugby, that's for sure. So watch out for him. That's why he's got a sprint on him. That's why you have the points. That's why you even have these point sprints, because this guy is a monster.
Absolutely. So, Nathan, another great day with the Zwift Classics. I always love Richmond, so I'm excited to be headed back. There's no doubt that will be a decidedly different day than what we had at the Crit City Slam today. But I do want to thank Charlie as well. I know a lot goes into bespoking these courses for us, and when I read the every one of these, I don't know if Charlie's going to do it for every race that we have throughout the Classic series, but so far it's been really interesting to hear how we ended up choosing this course, and a little bit of the backstory is always fun. And I'd like to recommend again that people please go watch and comment and enjoy World of Zwift, and V-Win is the guest that we have this week on the show, and I think you'd really love getting to know more about V. She's a really cool person.
100%. Check that out. That's the things that are happening through this next week. Enjoy watching the Olympics, everybody. Good luck to all your countries out there. WTRL TTT is happening. We also have something really cool in development. Watch out for August. Workouts are coming back, live workout streams, group workouts with a very, very special guest. Talking Olympics, has won 3 gold medals. I'll just leave it at that. Myself putting me through the paces. It is going to be
awesome.
Yeah, awesome. It will be awesome
for us.
It's gonna hurt for Nathan. You get to watch Nathan suffer and do a group workout alongside of me while a 3-time gold medalist is putting you through her workouts. It's gonna be pretty awesome, everybody.
I just wanted to add, Nathan, that 3-time gold medalist that you're talking about, not only did she do it consecutively, but along the way, and she's the only person who's ever done this, she had a child as well.
Yes, I mean,
I assume we're talking about the same 3-time Olympic
gold. I mean, now everyone's like, duh. Now we're but we'll leave it at that. We have to watch out for that in August.
That's
everybody.
enough clues.
That's enough clues. Go figure it out. Enjoy the Olympics, everybody. We'll see you for Thursday's TTT. Make sure to sign up, WTRL.racing. World of Zwift on Monday. Have a great weekend as well, everyone. And ride on. Thank you.